A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Well, tonight, Mr. Race expects to sign up old man Neff on the real estate deal. Jane, meanwhile, having misunderstood Mr. Neff to say that he had proposed to Neil for the hand of Neil's mother, is quite excited about that, because if Neil's mother marries Mr. Neff, it will mean Neil won't have his mother to support, and he can marry Marge. Our scene now is the Aces bungalow a few minutes before 8, and we find Mr. Race all ready for the business conference. Here comes Jane. Listen.
Here.
Yes?
Oh, not so loud. I want to ask you something.
What's the matter?
It's about Marge.
Well, what about her?
Well, don't you think we ought to tell her before they get here?
Tell her what?
About Mr. Neff.
About Mr. Neff? Well, I've been telling her all through dinner. She knows I've got this deal on with him, that he's coming out tonight to sign up for us.
Yes, I heard you tell her that, but, don't you think we ought to tell her the real reason he's coming out?
The real reason?
Yes, I've been dying to tell her, but you know how she is. She's so sensuous about mentioning Neil that I've been sort of afraid to tell her.
I'm a little confused here. What has Neil got to do with this? You mean because Neil had that talk with the old man this morning?
Yes.
Well, that has nothing to do with Neil's marrying Marge.
Well, it certainly has. If Mr. Neff marries Neil's mother, then Neil won't have his mother to support.
Jane, you're not going to bring up anything about Mr. Neff marrying Neil's mother in the middle of this business discussion, are you?
Not bring it up. Dear, do you feel all right?
Do I feel all right?
Not so loud. She's getting dressed and she'll hear you. That's why I wanted to ask you before she came out if we ought to tell her what Mr. Neff told me about Mrs. Williams.
What Mr. Neff told you? Who said anything about Mrs. Williams?
Mr. Neff told me.
Told you what?
Well, you said Neil called you up and told you the whole thing.
He did. Neil called me up and told me he had a talk with the old man this morning about that item in the gossip column of the paper that Neil works on. And Neil promised to keep anything else out of the paper if Mr. Neff would give me his real estate business at 4%.
But I mean about his mother.
He didn't even mention his mother.
Didn't mention his mother?
No, and I wish you wouldn't. I don't care what you do after I sign Neff up, but for Pete's sake, Jane, please don't spoil this deal for me.
Real estate. Well, you don't understand what Mr. Neff's coming out here for, the way you talk.
I do understand. Neil told me.
And Mr. Neff told me.
He told you what?
He said he made a proposal to Neil, and it's going to be all settled tonight once and for all.
That's it. He made a Oh, so you're in another one of your mix-ups again.
Who's mixed up? I think the laugh's on the other foot, if you ask me. Mr. Neff
Look,
told
Jane,
me...
I haven't time to argue with you about it now. It's 5 minutes to 8. I'll be here any minute. Let me sign my deal first. After that, I don't care what you do. After I get through, you can talk to Mr. Neff about anything.
After you get through?
The minute I'm through. The minute he signs this paper. Yeah, this paper here.
The minute he signs it. Then we can talk about him marrying Mrs. Williams?
Yes, I don't care what you talk about when I've got his name on this paper. Now, is it a bargain?
Well, it's not much of a bargain, but I'll do it, I guess.
Thanks, Jane. I appreciate that, honestly.
It just seems funny to me why you want to talk business to a man who's head over shoulders in love with Mrs. Williams.
I haven't got time to go into that right now, Jane. It's getting late.
So you think we ought to tell Marge anything about it, huh?
No, absolutely not.
All right, but don't holler so.
I'm sorry, Jane.
Goodness, a person can't say
I'm awfully sorry, Jane. I don't want to do anything to upset you, and you won't do anything to upset this deal, will you?
After you get through talking about the real estate.
Then you can ask him about Mrs. Williams.
Ask him? Well, there's nothing to ask him. He told me this morning. He said
Jane, here she comes.
What? Nobody here yet?
No, Marge, but we expect them any minute now.
Darling, I wanted to make a grand entrance in my new dress.
Why, Marge, that's the loveliest dress
You really like it, Jen?
Like it? Why, you look stunned.
Well, I feel a little dizzy. I hardly know myself.
Well, that's the prettiest dress you ever had. Oh, I'm so glad you're wearing it tonight.
Why tonight?
Because when Mr. Neff comes...
Because we're expecting company, I guess she means.
Yes, that's what I mean. Oh, it's lovely, Marge, and your hair is so... Oh, honestly, you look like you just stepped out of a bandwagon.
Well, I don't blow myself very often to anything this classy, but I just couldn't resist this.
Well, don't you worry, Marge. You'll be able to get all the dresses you want someday.
Oh, I'm not that near my old age security pension, Jane.
No, I mean, well, you just wait and see. You'll be sitting on Pretty Street.
What's all this about?
Saved by the bell. I'll go, Jane.
Well, you don't have to push me.
I'm sorry, Jane. Oh, did I hurt you, dear?
No, but you don't have
Just a moment.
Oh, that must be Mr. Neff. He's always right on the dot.
Is Neil coming with him?
Well, I don't know. All these arrangements are news to me. I just heard about it at dinner tonight.
Well, come right in, Mr. Neff. Good evening. Well, right on time, Mr. Neff. 8 o'clock, right on the nose.
I always make it a point to be punctual.
Yes, I know, Mr. Neff. Oh, I'll take your hat.
Oh, thank you.
Right through here. Dear, here's Mr. Neff.
Well, Mr. Neff, of all people.
Good evening, Miss... what do you mean, of all people? I told you I was coming out here tonight.
Yes, I know. I was only making conversation. May I present my best friend, Miss Hale? This is my friend, Mr. Neff, Miss Hale.
Pleased to know you.
Well, I think we've met, Mr. Neff. You remember the night you were over to dinner here?
What?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Sure, you remember Marge.
Yes, guess I do. I didn't know you were going to have company, Mr. Hayes. This is a business deal.
Oh, Marge isn't company, you see.
Company? Why, Marge is like one of the family, and she's going to be, too, because...
honey, what are you talking about?
Sit right here, Mr. Neff.
Where's that young William?
Oh, you'll be here in a minute, I guess.
I hate to be standing around waiting.
Well, sit down, Mr. Neff.
I like people that are on time. I make it a point to be on time, and
Oh, well, it's just 8 o'clock now. We ought to give him a minute leeway.
Well, I guess we'll have to.
He'll be here any minute.
Yes, Neil's pretty prompt.
Oh, yes, you like Neil, too.
I like people that are prompt. I want to get this thing over with.
Well, he can't do anything till he gets here. He'll be coming in.
I hope so. I hope he didn't have any trouble living up to his end of the bargain.
Bargain? What
Oh, I
bargain?
told you, Marge. Neil's getting his paper to stop running those items.
I don't want to hear about them, if you please, Mr. Hayes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I understand.
I do too, Mr. Neff.
I do, too. Yes.
Well, we'll soon get this over with, I guess.
I hope so.
Yes, so do I. We won't have to wait very long.
I hope not.
Dear,
Yes, dear.
how about talking about the other thing first?
Jane, if you'll...
Well, I mean, as long as Neil's not here yet, anyhow.
What is it, Jane?
It's nothing, Marge.
What was it you said?
I said it's nothing, Marge.
No, I'm talking to Mrs. Hayes. What did you say?
I thought maybe we ought to
Oh,
talk
that's Neil. There he is. Good old Neil. I'll let him in. No, you let him in, Jane. It's Neil, Mr. Neff. I told you he'd be here. It's Neil.
Well, I hope it is. I've got to get back home.
Shall I let him in, dear?
Yes, go ahead and let
All
him.
right.
I'd like to get this straightened out right away. I shouldn't have come away tonight at all.
Well, why not, Mr. Neff? Are you feeling all right?
I feel fine.
Oh, that's fine.
Well, hello there, Jane.
Hello, hurry up, Neil. He hates people that are impromptu. Come on, hurry. It's after 8.
Oh, it's not much after 2 minutes. Hello there, Neil. Sure glad to see you. Come in.
Well, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Neff. You were late.
Well, better late than never, I always say.
And I always say...
Hello there, beautiful. I didn't know you. Let me look at you.
Well, I was wondering if you were going to say anything.
Well, I've got to get back home as soon as I...
Let's get this.
Oh, you
thing.
want me to model it for you? All right.
Well, if that isn't a navy blueprint with yellow and white daisies running around
Yeah.
all over the place, and you can blow me down.
Yes, Neil. Now,
Where did you learn so much about women's clothes?
Maud, you look like a million.
I assure you I am not over 25.
yeah, now, if you don't mind. now.
Young man, I've been waiting for you here. Did you or did you not bring that agreement from your paper?
Oh, I beg your pardon, Mr. Neff.
Well, I should hope you would.
But you can't blame me for raving over the girlfriend here, can you? Now, look at it. Did you ever see...
Very nice, very nice. Now, if you let me have that signed statement from that columnist, promise not to mention me anymore.
Oh, sure.
Oh, well, you did get it.
Did I get it? Of course. You know us Williamses never go back on our word. Here you are. All in order. And signed by Bowers himself.
Let me see that.
It's okay if Neil says it is, Mr. Neff.
Well, I want to read it.
Okay.
Do you understand, promise never to mention to you an applicant column either by name when you enter? Yes. Yes, this seems all right.
It does? Well, hurry up and sign it, Mr. Neff.
Sign it?
Yeah, so we can talk about
No, Jane. He doesn't sign... Mr. Neff, she doesn't understand these business matters. Now, I have here the paper for you to sign about this real estate deal.
Yeah, let me see that.
There you are. It's the usual real estate form. I filled in the 4%.
Yeah, I've signed enough of these to know one when I see it. Well, I promised, and I'll sign it, but it's robbery.
Oh, no, I don't think so, Mr. Neff. We'll both make a lot of money out of this.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, well, here's the pen.
I've got a pen.
Oh, well, here, you can hold this book on your lap.
Well, hurry up, Mr. Neff.
Please, Jane.
All right. There you are, Mr. Ace.
At last.
No, what?
Now, about Mr. Neff and Mrs. Williams.
What's that?
About how you proposed to Mrs. Williams.
What was that, Jane?
Jane, what do you mean?
Who proposed to Mrs. Williams?
Why, Mr. Neff, you told me yourself this morning.
Hey, what is this? Don't look at me. I'm out of the picture from now on.
What is this, a trick?
Neil, do you know what this is all about?
Did you say he proposed to my mother?
Why, he told me this morning.
I told you what?
Didn't you tell me you asked Neil if you could marry his mother?
Marry his mother? Me?
Well, if that... Neil, you knew he did.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jane, you better not talk.
Mr. Ace, what is the meaning of this?
Well, I'm not in on this part of the entertainment at all, but I think I know where she got the wrong impression.
Wrong?
You told her that you had made Neil a proposal. Made me a proposal?
What, Mr. Williams?
She thought you meant proposal in the marrying sense of the word.
Well, what does proposal mean? It only means one thing to me, and he can't say he didn't say that to me.
I said no such thing.
Well, you certainly did, Mr. Neff, and if you think you're going to spoil my best friend's life that
Are
way...
you talking about me by any chance?
Well, sure I am. He can't say he didn't say it. He said he was going to marry Neil's mother, and now Neil can marry you because he won't have his mother to support anymore.
I said I was going to marry his mother?
Oh, you finally admit it.
Jane, what do you mean he's going to marry my mother so I won't have her to look
Well,
at
isn't that the only reason you can't marry Mark?
Yes, but my mother isn't even thinking of getting married.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I'm not either.
You're not?
I can't get married. I've got a mother 73 years old myself. I have to look after her.
What?
You've got a mother.
I've got to hurry back home to her now. I shouldn't have come out tonight at all.
Well, Mr. Neff's in the same boat Neil and Marge are in. But luckily, Mr. Ace put his deal over anyhow. We'll learn more about that when next we meet the Easy Aces.
You are standing on a bridge over Owl Creek, a noose around your neck. You have but a few seconds left to live, a few seconds left to plan your escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to the war between the states and a muddy stream in Alabama, as we recall one of the great short stories in American literature, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, by Ambrose Bierce.
A man stood upon a railroad bridge in northern Alabama, looking down through the ties at the swift water 20 feet below. The man's hands were behind his back, the wrist bound with a cord. A rope closely encircled his neck. It was attached to a stout cross timber above his head, and the slack fell to the level of his knees. He watched a piece of dancing driftwood racing down the current beneath his feet. He thought,
if I could just free my hands, I might throw off this noose and dive into the creek. If I swam underwater, I'd be safe from their bullets. If my wind held out, I could make the southern bank, take to the woods, and get away home.
Peyton Farquhar, Alabama planter, stood at the end of a plank. A captain of the Union Army and a sergeant stood at the other end. When they stepped aside, the plank would tip upward, and Peyton Farquhar, Confederate spy, would slip between the ties to hang above the muddy water of Owl Creek until dead. Even in this far outpost of Sherman's march to the sea, the formalities of death are observed by these men who are most familiar with him. The captain's company is drawn stiffly at attention along the tracks on the northern side of the bridge. The lieutenant stands erect on the bank of the stream, the point of his bared saber scraping the gravel on the roadbed. Peyton Farquhar is being ushered into the Confederate beyond with every Union amenity. The captain stands aside. Now only the weight of the bulky sergeant counterbalances Peyton Farquhar at the end of his thin board.
They say that this is the moment when all the past events of your life tumble into your memory. But how could anyone know? Who has come back from the dead to tell what dying is like? I don't recall any childhood memories now. The past does not engulf me in this naked moment. I'm only aware of what's here, now. Those Yankees lined up on the bank. His captain's tired eyes. That turkey buzzard circling up there, waiting for me. And that noise. That beating, driving sound like a distant engine. A pump. The roll of thunder on the summer evening. Coming closer. Getting louder. Choking.
It's your heart, of course, that you hear, stepping up its cadence, pounding under the forced draft of fear. Now you see nothing, remember nothing, sense nothing, but the strangling, suffocating beat of your own heart, throbbing its final protest. You stand there, erect.
The work is nearly at an end now. The captain draws his sword, flourishes it to a carry, sings out a command.
Company! Parade! Rest!
The men on the bank smartly spread their legs, thrust hands forward over the rifle barrels. The sergeant on the end of the plank takes one step to the left. The plank tips forward. And Peyton Farquhar drops between the timbers of Owl Creek Bridge.
It takes longer to tell it. As you drop downward, you lose consciousness. You are as one already dead. Then you awaken sharply in pain to feel, not to think, just to feel. The cutting pressure on your throat, the agonies of pulsating fire shooting from your neck downward. To feel the fullness, the congestion, the head bursting with suffocation. Distantly, beyond, outside of yourself, you hear a splash. Remotely you sense cool, wet, green darkness. The rope has broken. You have fallen into the stream. Now thinking returns slowly. You know for the moment you are safe from drowning because the rope around your neck tightly keeps the water from your lungs.
Then I shall die hanging at the bottom of a river. And that's absurd. If I can get my hands free. I must get my hands free. Come, Peyton. They can't lick you. Try again. Once more. Good boy, the rope's given. Again. Try once more. That does it, my boy. Now, the rope around your neck. You must breathe when you come to the surface. You must breathe quickly. For if they haven't hanged you and they fail to drown you, you can't let them shoot you. Loosen that rope around your neck. You must get it loose. Now.
It takes so much longer to tell. You are now in the fullest possession of your senses. And again, time stops. You feel the ripples of the water upon your face and hear their separate sounds as they strike. You see the trees on the bank and the leaves and the veining of each leaf and the very insects on them. The locusts, the brilliant-bodied flies, the gray spiders stretching their webs from twig to twig. The prismatic colors of the dewdrops upon a million blades of grass. You hear the humming of the gnats, the beating of the dragonfly's wings, the strokes of the water spider's legs. A fish slides beneath your eyes, and you hear the rush of its body parting the water. All this you see and hear in an incalculably infinite instant of time. Then you hear something else. You dive deeply, but above the ringing in your ears, you hear the volley of the rifles. And as you rise toward the surface, you meet shining bits of metal, singularly flattened, the distorted and spent bullets, oscillating slowly downward past you. One catches in your collar, and it feels uncomfortably warm. You snatch it out, and this gray piece of Yankee lead reminds you of the gray uniform of the soldier who was responsible for you being here. You recall that it was only night before last when the soldier had ridden up the driveway as you and your wife sat under the magnolia trees in the cool twilight.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Corporal.
Wonder if I might trouble you for a glass of water, sir.
Why, of course,
Don't disturb yourself, Peyton. I'll go fetch it.
You're most kind, ma'am. If you'll just indicate the well...
Nonsense. You just sit a spell with my husband. You look as if you could do with some rest.
Yes, ma'am. Reckon I could.
I'll be back in a jiffy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Whose command are you with, Corporal?
Colonel Tolliver, sir. 13th, North Carolina.
We get so little news down here. How are things going at the front?
Not good, sir. The Yankees are getting ready for another advance. They're repairing the railroad. Got it in shape almost to Owl Creek Bridge. And they got an outpost there. Once they can run the trains beyond the bridge, there's nothing to stop them between here and Atlanta.
Then why hasn't the bridge been destroyed?
The military couldn't get near it. A civilian might.
Owl Creek Bridge. That's not far from here, is it?
Less than 20 miles.
You say they have an outpost there. On which side?
The other side. Nothing on this side but a couple of pickets, half-mile out on the railroad. And a single sentinel at this end of the bridge.
And that bridge is important?
Sure is.
What if it were destroyed?
Hold up the Yankees for several weeks.
Suppose a man, a civilian like myself, should elude the picket post and get the better of the sentinel. What could he accomplish?
Well, I was there a week ago, just before we had to pull out. There's a heap of driftwood come down in last winter's flood and caught on the trestle at this end. Looked mighty dry and tendery to me.
I see.
A fellow with enough gumption might get through and set fire to it. It ought to burn like tow.
Yes, it should.
Of course, a fellow'd have to have plenty of gumption. The Union commanders promised to hang any civilian caught fooling around the railroad.
Here's your water, Corporal. Right out of the spring house.
Thank you kindly, ma'am. My, it's cool and nice.
And here's a smidgen of cornbread. I thought you might be hungry.
I'm mighty grateful, ma'am. It's ladies like you that keeps the South together and fighting these days.
My, what a nice compliment.
It certainly is.
Well, reckon I better hit the leather. I got a lot of riding ahead of me tonight.
Good luck to you, Corporal, and thank you for the information.
You'd be taking a chance, sir, but you couldn't do a greater service for your country.
I'll remember that, Corporal.
Goodbye, ma'am.
Goodbye, Corporal.
Goodbye, sir. Many thanks.
Goodbye.
Peyton, what was he talking about?
What, my dear?
The corporal. What did he mean by service to your country and taking a chance?
Oh, nothing.
Peyton, tell me.
It was nothing, really, my dear.
Peyton Farquhar, if you're fixing to take any chances for our country, I want to know about it. Now, you just speak your piece.
There's nothing to say except I'd be going away for a day or two on a little trip.
Is it dangerous, Peyton?
Not very.
You'll be back.
Yes, my dear. I promise you, I'll be back.
You break the surface of Owl Creek for a second time, and now you're much further downstream, further away from the Union soldiers on the bridge reloading their guns, the ramrods flashing in the morning sun.
That captain won't make the same mistake again. He'll order them to fire at will. Heaven help me, I cannot dodge him.
Another more terrible sound, cannon. They've trained a cannon on you.
And close. Next time they'll use a charge of grape. Rifles and grape covering the water from bank to bank. I'm done for then.
Then something seemed to grab you, and you're whirled round and round, spinning like a waterlogged top. You're caught in a vortex, a whirlpool. The water, the banks, the distant bridge, the soldiers become indistinct blurs. And again you're helpless. You feel dizzy and sick to your stomach. Just as you felt last night when you crept up the bank toward the lone sentinel on the south end of the bridge and discovered that the sentinel was not alone.
There he is, boys. Grab him.
Got him, Sergeant.
Well, Mr. Peyton Farquhar, we've been expecting you.
How did you know my name?
We got
was...
ways.
But look here, I'm a civilian.
Save your breath and thank your maker we didn't shoot you in the back. Well, we don't do things that way up north. You'll get a trial. Everything fair and square. Bring him along, men.
The whirlpool spins faster and faster. A sharp piece of driftwood tears at your coat. The churning brown water chokes you. You know there is nothing you can do. As you had known it last night, when they shoved you into a tent near the bridge to face the infantry captain with the tired eyes.
There he is, sir. Right on schedule.
Good work, Sergeant. Is this the man, Lieutenant?
That's him.
What? You're the corporal who stopped at my plantation last night.
That's right, Mr. Farquhar. But I'm not with the 13th North Carolina Volunteers.
Mr. Farquhar, this is Lieutenant Saltonstall, Intelligence Officer, 5th Massachusetts Regulars.
You've trapped me. You deliberately led me into a trap. I'm a civilian in a plant.
Yes, and also a Southern patriot, caught in the act of espionage.
You can't prove it.
We don't have to.
This is the most despicable, the most... This proves once more that honor is a stranger in the North.
I'm too tired to listen to a recital of the code of a Southern gentleman, Mr. Farquhar. I'm afraid the distinction between your ethics and my lack of them would escape me this evening.
But why have you done this? Why have you deliberately trapped me?
The best way to eliminate civilian resistance is to lure it into the open. You fell for the bait. Too bad.
Now, look here. It's my constitutional right
Which Constitution? The Constitution of the United States or Jeff Davis's?
You insulting Yankee.
Remember your manners, sir.
I demand a trial.
You've just had it. Post a guard over him, Sergeant.
Yes.
We'll hang him in the morning.
Something tears at your face, scratching, and you realize that the whirling has stopped. You open your eyes. You're lying on the southern bank of the stream, out of sight of your enemies. Safe. The gravel which has scratched your cheek now seems soft as new-picked cotton. The forest around you is a garden of luscious beauty, reeking with a heavy perfume of freedom. Even the whiz and rattle of the final charge of grapes screaming through the treetops seems a benediction from the baffled cannoneer. You leap to your feet and run into the woods, south, towards home. Your neck is swollen and throbbing with pain. You carry it cocked toward your left shoulder as you push through the matted brush. All morning you tear your way through the undergrowth. Your jacket is tattered and your face crisscrossed with bloody scratches from the brambles. Every few moments you stop. You stop to listen for the sound of dogs. But all you hear is the sleepy buzz of the forest. And the blood throbbing through your heated brain brings another thought, which is an insult. No dogs. You are not even important enough to the Yankees for dogs. It's nearly noon now, and for half an hour you've been plunging through a swamp, waist-deep in green ooze. Your neck hurts constantly. Your head throbs and your tongue is thick. It tastes like brown cotton. Gnats swarm before your eyes, catching in your eyelids. Mosquitoes buzz in your ears, drill deep in your hands and swollen neck. You cannot go any longer. You slow down. You stop. You reach toward a palmetto root for support, and it slithers from your grasp and slides softly into the water. Water moccasin. Fear finds you at last. Terror, which stood aloof when you fled the executioner's bullets, now embraces you with clammy unction. A water moccasin. The deadly cottonmouth. Now each branch and root seems to writhe under your glance. The swamp is undulating with certain death. You plunge on through the dark, stinking ooze, on and on, tripping, stumbling, never stopping, for terror rides your back, flogging you with a whiplash of fear.
Peyton, fiddle's a fiddle and jig time. You just drink this here yop tea, Master Peyton.
Thank you. Thank you. Jethro.
Yes, sir, Master Peyton.
What are you doing here?
I live here.
You live... Where am I? What happened?
I was paddling my dugout home through the swamp with a mess of catfish. I sees you lying out there on the bank in front of my cabin.
Jethro, I heard... I thought you were dead.
Of course you thought Jethro was dead. You knew he had consumption when you sold him. You knew he couldn't last long and he wasn't earning his keep. His wife and his daughter had carried on some at first, but after a while they calmed down. And last you'd heard, Jethro was dead.
You thought I was dead, Master Peyton? Why, sir, don't you know what's happened to me? I'm free. I'm free at last.
So, news travels fast. Even in the middle of this backwoods swamp, this lonely black has heard of Abe Lincoln's traitorous Emancipation Proclamation. And they believe it with the faith of children.
Yes, sir, I'm free. I expect pretty soon my woman, my little gal, come along and join me.
Yes, of course they will, Jethro.
How is they, Master Peyton? Is they well?
Yes, indeed, they're both fine. Your daughter's growing into a young beauty. Miss Farquhar's brought her into the kitchen, beginning to train her for the house.
Well, what do you think of that? And my woman, she still sings pretty?
Yes, Jethro. Sundays at meeting time, we can hear her all the way up to the big house.
That woman's voice is prettier than all the angels.
Jethro, I don't know how to say this, but I really was sorry about having to sell you. But there wasn't anything else.
I understand, Master Peyton. Don't pay it no mind. I done forgive you long ago.
You have?
Sure. Don't the Lord tell us to forgive those who trespass against us? Don't the Lord promise us we shall be free? Don't you worry none about my Peyton. Here now, quiet that spot. Quiet, Trigger, quiet you. Must have heard Razorback in the brush. No, sirree. Look, Master Peyton. There's a horse coming down the road.
A horse?
Look there. Soldier. One of our soldiers, Corporal, look like.
Jethro, you got to hide me.
Why's I got to hide you, Master Peyton?
Don't ask so many questions, you insolent...
Master Peyton, you forget, I'm free now.
Well, then, as an old friend of mine, please don't ask any questions. Just hide me. Don't tell that soldier anything.
Well, sure. I reckon I can do that for an old friend, Master Peyton. Here. You get down on this here bed. That's it. Put the covers over the side. There you are. Snug as a tick in a rabbit's ear.
Remember, don't tell him anything.
Have you come this far just to be turned in by a wool-gathering black who talks crazy? If Jethro knew this gray-clad corporal was really a Union lieutenant, he'd guarantee his freedom by turning you in. Even so, he bears you a big enough grudge to turn you in anyway. Unless, of course, he's planning to dispose of you himself. Yes, that's it. That's why he talks so silly about the Lord and forgiveness. He's going to do you in himself.
Well, if you run into him, don't tell him I was looking for him.
Yes, sir. I'll remember not telling.
Just keep minding your own business, Uncle. You live longer. Yep.
Yes, sir. I sure will. You can come out now, Master Peyton. I declare, I don't understand none of this. You says not tell him you're here. He says not tell you he's been here. What's this all about, Master Peyton?
Oh, it's nothing, Jethro. Nothing. I owe the man some money. I'm not ready to pay it yet.
Oh, I see. I wouldn't know about that. Money's something never bothered me like it bothers some. Money and me's always been strangers.
What's he mean by that? Money's never bothered me like it's bothered some. What's he picking up that knife for?
Jethro, what are you going to do with that knife?
Hmm? Oh, I was just fixing to slit up some of them catfish you got in the dugout. Look like you could do with a little food, Master Peyton.
Oh, no, thank you, Jethro. I really got to be on my way. I want to get home by sundown if I can.
Sure wouldn't be no bother to cut up a couple calves.
No, thank you, old friend. If you'll just tell me which way I should go to get home.
Huh? Well, I don't rightly know, Master Peyton. I reckon from the way the sun's reclining, be down the road that way. Quite a tolerable piece.
Yeah, that should be about right.
I never been back, you know. I never tried to go back since I've been free.
Yes, I know.
But I reckon it won't be long till my little gal, comes here to me.
Of course.
If you get back, Master Peyton, if when you see him, you tell him I'm here waiting for him, you hear?
Yeah, I'll do that, Jethro. I'll do that.
You get away from there fast, the shells of the road crunching under your muddy boots. That grinning savage standing in the doorway of the shack, the knife in his hands. And each moment until the road bends and cuts off the cabin from view, you fear he'll come after you, the knife poised to plunge in your back, to pay you for the thrust you gave him when you sent him away to die. But he's still standing, grinning foolishly and waving as you turn the bend. Now you feel safe, but only for a moment. Then you hear a sound. The sound of a horse. It must be the corporal in gray from the 5th Massachusetts Regulars. He's coming back down the road, searching for you, hounding you, coming to take you back to Owl Creek Bridge, back to a rope that won't break under your weight. You walk faster and faster, and always the sound is there, growing louder and louder. And you run as fast as you can down the shell road, which stretches clear to the horizon between the green walls of scrubby pines. How long have you been running down this endless road? It's dark now. Is it night? Or has the blood trapped in your head by the suffocating rope at last burst into your congested eyeballs and blinded you? Will it next pour from your swollen and bruised neck into your brain, stopping all sensation, instantly bringing to a welcome end this day of agony and flight? Ridiculous fantasies of fatigue and fear. You can see the darkness is the black of a sudden summer storm. That lightning flash clearly shows the white road ahead and the black silhouettes of trees along the sides. And since you're sure that you can see, the other senses return. You hear the rumble of the thunder. You feel the insupportable ache of your straining lungs, the leaden weight of your tired feet. And now the patter of rain, first washing the stinging sweat from your scratched and bitten face, now pounding harder, flowing down across your hatless head, matting your hair, slowing your headlong gait to a dog trot. Another flash of lightning directly overhead. For an instant, you see the soldiers of Owl Creek Bridge standing at the side of the road, rifles leveled, their eyes boring down the sights, aiming at your heart. Again, you're running, and the rain has turned to hail. Pellets as big as hominy beat down on you, pound your swollen, bruised neck, hammer at your countless cuts. Again, the lightning. And on the other side of the road, the gray-clad corporal sits astride his horse waiting for you.
No! No, you can't get me now! No!
This bolt of lightning strikes a tree ahead of you, and in the white blinding light stands Jethro, black and grinning, knife raised in the air.
No! No, Jethro! Forgive me! Forgive me!
He's gone. And now you see dangling from each tree along the road a noose swinging in the wind. Wherever you turn, wherever you look, a noose waiting for you. A noose which wriggles like a water moccasin. You are standing on the green lawn of your plantation before the high-columned entrance. The storm is over. The clouds are black and menacing all around the horizon. But through a break in the sky overhead, glorious sunlight streams down, bathing your garden and your house in heavenly light. You are home. And now you hear a rustle of crinoline, and down from the wide portico steps your beloved wife. She walks across the wide lawn, arms outstretched.
Peyton, my dear, you're back, just as you promised you'd be.
For this moment, you have endured the agonies of this day. And were those agonies multiplied 1,000 times, they would be small price for the benison of this breast, the sanctuary of these arms, the security of these lips. You step forward to fold your wife in your embrace.
The rope stretched tight, sang like a bowstring. Peyton Farquhar was dead. His body, with a broken neck, swung gently from side to side beneath the timbers of Owl Creek Bridge.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce in a radio adaptation written by Mr. Robeson. The part of Peyton Farquhar was played by Harry Bartell. The narrators were Bill Conrad and Bill Johnstone. Jethro was played by Louis Van Rooten. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fure. Next week,
you are trapped in the pitch darkness of a ruined mansion, and groping for you, stalking you, is a homicidal maniac armed with a knife, from whom you must escape.
Next week, we escape with Joseph Hergesheimer's gripping story, Wild Oranges. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, we take you some 800 years into the future to meet man's best friend.
Well, what's the matter? Who's there? What? Oh, turn on the annunciator. All right, I'm coming. I'm coming. Well, stand in front of the screen. I can't see you.
I am in front of the screen, Mr. Schnee. You haven't turned up the viewing control.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you are. Do I know you?
May I be the first to congratulate you, Mr. Schnee?
You may indeed. What for?
Oh, you haven't heard the news. Good, then I shall be the first. I imagine I got a head start on the others because of my superior facilities for locating you. Your address wasn't given. These pronouncements do tend to be a bit vague. It's a matter of tradition, I suppose.
I haven't heard any news for days. I've been listening to my sound tapes and and meditating. Now, wait a minute. I'll let you in. Oh, the auto bursar must have forgotten to pay the doorbell. Have to open it manually. Just a minute. All right, you can come in now.
Well, I suppose you don't know who I am.
Well, you're wearing the uniform of an upper echelon salesman. I just wanted to warn you, nobody can force me to buy anything. I'm a free citizen.
Oh, now, come, Mr. Schnee.
I suppose the big news is I'm the lucky householder to whom the little gem room expander will first be offered.
Oh, nothing of the sort. I'm not a common salesman.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't notice your merchant prince badge. Come in, have a chair. No, not that one. It's my meditator. It's still running.
Oh, thank you.
Well?
Mr. Schnee, our prognosticator has just given its fortnightly prognostication. You are going to be our new ruler. Congratulations. I'm sure you'll be a splendid one, too.
But wait, what's to become of the old ruler?
You're scheduled to dispose of him sometime this month.
Now, Mr. Schnee, allow me to introduce myself. I am Diedrich Floria, Vice President of the Munitions and Container Corporation. Here I have our latest model in this case right here. There we are. Beautiful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you will only agree to shoot Overlord Kip with a Floria Semper Fidelis gun, my corporation will be happy to place a substantial amount of credit at your disposal in any bank you choose. $6 billion, to be exact. Now, if you'll just sign here on the dotted line...
Nonsense.
Oh, come now, Mr. Schnee. Even a ruler can use money. Bribery for government officials, bread in circuses for the people. Oh, money's a very useful commodity, Mr. Schnee. Shall we say, $7 billion?
I don't doubt that money is useful, but when I said nonsense, I meant the prognosticator.
Mr. Schnee?
The whole thing is a lot of, nonsense. A whole planet of supposedly intelligent people listening to what's really more an oracle. A machine can't read the future. It's impossible.
Oh, dear, Mr. Schnee, that's sacrilege. You can't talk, confound it, sir. You can't talk that way about the machine. Listen, after all, let's look at this reasonably. Machines can and do answer all the problems of our daily life. So why shouldn't a superior machine be able to tell the future?
If you ask me, behind the wires and gimmicks and whatnots of the machine, there's a secret room in which a half-mad, half-intoxicated old priestess sits delivering her Delphic pronouncements. Might as well have an above-board oracle and be done with it.
Now, Mr. Schnee, even our ruler shouldn't flout the authority of machinery. Of course, it's all right when you're alone with friends like me, but in public you shouldn't.
Mr. Schnee, I'm from the Daily Disseminator. How does it feel to be ruler prognosticate? Perhaps you tell us in your own words.
Oh, that's what I get for leaving the Annunciator on.
There's your community.
All right. I'll answer it. Hello.
Mr. Schnee?
Yeah.
I'm Overlord Kip. I understand you are the young man who was destined to dispose of me and take my place.
Well, honestly, Your Honorship, I haven't the slightest
You'll make it swift and painless, won't you? Suppose you come around to the palace around 1 o'clock or so. We can have a bite of lunch and discuss the matter together. After all, I think you'd agree that I have been a reasonably good ruler, so I have the right to die with dignity.
Oh, absolutely. No question of that. I think it's a very good idea having a chat about it first. It is awkward to dispose of someone you haven't met previously.
Thank you, Mr. Schnee. I hope you'll find your successor as cooperative as yourself.
I wonder whether he wants me to make an appointment so he'll have a band of counter-assassins ready to kill me. That would save him the expense of a standby guard. He's pretty tight,
He wouldn't dream of doing anything of the sort. Overlord Kip knows what's due his position. He has a sense of duty and responsibility, which, unfortunately, seems to be lacking in his successor, if you'll excuse me speaking frankly. I am, of course, considerably older than you, and so I feel...
It's quite all right. You may speak freely.
Furthermore, if he had you killed, the people would probably give him a painful and lingering death for attempting to interfere with the course of destiny. Oh, by the way, speaking of the people, the Polo will probably be around to hail their new leader soon. You really should work up a few well-chosen words.
Well, I'm not going to do it. They can't make me kill him and take over, and that is flat. I am not the administrative type. I never have been.
Well, in that case, the people will probably kill you for attempting to interfere with fate. Have a cigar?
But I wouldn't have done anything.
There are sins of omission as well as commission. Come now, it's true. A ruler's life expectancy isn't very long. At least it hasn't been the last few reigns, but it's longer than yours will be if you refuse to fulfill your destiny.
I wouldn't make a fit ruler. Consider my origins. I wouldn't tell this to anyone but you. I'm illegitimate. I don't even know who my father is.
It's a wise child who knows his own father. And some of the most celebrated leaders in history have been illegitimate. Look at William the Conqueror, Alexander Hamilton.
I don't think that's too much of a recommendation.
You see, almost anyone can be a leader. The important thing is that he be destined for leadership.
But I'm no good at it. Everybody says so. I've never done a thing in my life. My aged mother has had to work to support me.
Well, it's time enough that you stood on your own 2 feet, my boy. Remember, destiny must take its course. Oh, excuse me, I'm due on radio monitor in a few seconds. If you don't mind, I'll broadcast from here. I'll just check my equipment here. Fine. Now, here we go. My friends, allow me to introduce to you your new ruler, Gervais Schnee. He is planning to assassinate Overlord Kip with a Floria Semper Fidelis gun. Floria Semper Fidelis guns retail from credit 2.98 for the peasant's pistol, all up to credit 1089.98 for the Super Deluxe Conspirators model. But each is the best attainable for the price. Mr. Schnee will, of course, use the Super Deluxe model. And now I give you Mr. Schnee.
Right into here?
Oh, anywhere. It's non-directional.
Thank you for your confidence and support. I only hope I prove worthy of it. That's all.
Thank you, ruler prognosticate Gervais Schnee.
Will you have some more wine, Mr. Schnee?
Oh, no, thank you, Overlord Kip. I've had too much already.
It's a delightful vintage, isn't it? I think it was bought by Overlord Jasper about 7 rains ago. You'll find the cellars in perfect order. I'll give you the inventory and the key a little later.
Do we have to talk about it?
Oh, well, one has to take these things as they come, you know. Here today, gone tomorrow. That reminds me. Will tomorrow suit you?
Well, of course, it really doesn't make any difference to me.
All right, then. We'll set it for tomorrow, if that's convenient for both of us. I have the afternoon clear. We'll make a public announcement a little later.
Well, all right, if you say so.
Of course. And now we can go into my study and discuss the details at our leisure. I've got half a box of some wonderful cigars left over. I think you'll enjoy them.
Oh, Mr. Schnee. Mr. Schnee, you aren't ready yet.
Well, I can't button the top button of this uniform.
Oh, isn't it handsome? Black and silver, the traditional assassin's uniform.
It was made for me without charge by Hansen and Kruster, the tailors.
Yes, of course. It's the curse these days, you know, the over-commercialization of important public functions. Oh, wait a minute, I have your pistol ready here. I bet you're excited. Couldn't sleep last night, eh?
No, well, yes, I did toss a bit.
Well, I see you're getting telegrams. Isn't that nice? Had your breakfast?
Oh, well, I don't think I'm exactly in the mood for eating.
Oh, you should, you know. A good breakfast makes good aim.
Well, I really couldn't eat a thing.
Well, you'll have a fine lunch after it's all over. I saw your black and silver limousine at the door.
What? I don't have a black and silver limousine.
You do now. Oh, yes. You know, there's going to be a brass band along with the crowds cheering. Oh, it's such a lovely morning. You've hired 2 removers, I trust.
Removers. Yes, I think so.
Good. Oh, what pageantry. The black and silver limousine, yourself in your lovely uniform, the black cloak and hood of the body removers sitting beside the chauffeurs, silent. The band playing the funeral march as you move down the boulevard. Crowds cheering, little children let out of school presenting you with flowers and television cameras. Oh, what a sight, what a sight. Well, now it's about 10:30. Shall we be off? Well, come on. Get out of the car, Mr. Schnee.
I don't feel so good.
Well, come on now. The television cameras are ready. There we are. Just a moment. Now, ruler prognosticate Schnee, allow me to load your Super Deluxe Conspirators Floria Semper Fidelis gun for you.
It's already loaded.
I'm supposed to do it now for the cameras.
It's already loaded.
Permit me to check it, then?
It's perfectly all right, I tell you. No, don't touch it. Nobody would have any difficulty loading a Semper Fidelis gun.
Yes, that's right. Yes, of course. Whether you buy the peasants or the conspirators model, both have the same freeloading mechanism.
Here we are, candy, popcorn, hashish, yogurt. Buy your refreshments here. Program. Sometimes you can't tell the assassins from the corpse without a program. Get your program for the program.
All right, Schnee, it's time. Let's go.
Well, here we are again, eh?
Overlord Kip, I am officially here.
Well, now, just a minute, old man. I have my speech, you know.
Your speech? Oh, I'm sorry, really.
Well, that's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, before the conclusion of this ceremony, I wish to remind you of a few important facts concerning my reign, which comes to an end in just a few minutes. I call your attention to the budget of 2786. 83 billion credits against an outgo of 72 billion. Not to mention the dam across the Balga River, which was constructed 3 months short of the proposed 5-year date at a cost of 73 billion. I thank you. Well, that's it, old man, huh?
Are you all done?
Why, yes, I think I've covered everything. Well, goodbye and good luck, Overlord Schnee. Anytime you're ready.
You mean now?
Well, come along, old man. The networks have only cleared an hour. There's a commercial program starting in 3 minutes. Get on with it.
Well, all right. Here goes. All right. Everyone will now please leave while the removers take over.
But the television, the cameras, it's part of the ceremony. Why can't they televise the removal?
Everybody leave immediately!
They're all gone now, Overlord Schnee. Perhaps...
You too.
But after all...
Out. I want to meditate.
Well, very well. All right.
Oh, alone at last. Kip. Overlord Kip.
Phew. I don't think I'd have been able to stay still much longer.
You all right?
Schnee, you're a good shot. That blank really stung on a very tender spot, I might add.
No time for chatting. We've got to get this over in a hurry. Now comes the part where your friends will have to look like real removers. I hope they can give it the professional touch.
Don't worry about us. We are real removers. At least both of us have participated in removals. I'll take off my hood.
But wait. Why, you're Overlord Morehouse. I've seen you in pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one. You're Shinnick. You died before I was born. That is, you were supposed to have died. Both of you were. Morehouse was supposed to have killed you.
Well, we're not precisely dead, only retired, you might say. The prognosticator didn't say he had to be killed, just disposed of, as Kip undoubtedly pointed out to you in your little interview together.
Sorry I couldn't tell you the truth, old man, but you might have changed your mind and given us away.
We've formed a little club of dead overlords.
We're looking forward to the day when you join us, Overlord Schnee.
Well, you better hurry. If the 4 of us are discovered, the mob will tear us to pieces.
Oh, you're right. Get on the stretcher, Kip. Bad enough we're going to have to carry you out. At least don't expect us to lift you up.
Floria?
Yes, Your Honorship?
The prognosticator is right here in the palace, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honorship.
Lead me to it immediately.
Certainly, Your Honorship. It's this way. Here you are, Your Honorship. This is the prognosticator. 20 stories high, 100 meters wide, the center of our entire civilization.
Leave me. I would be alone with the prognosticator.
But Your Honorship...
Leave me, and take all the technicians with you.
Yes. Yes, Your Honorship. You're all alone now, Your Honorship?
You too. Leave me.
Well, yes. Yes, Your Honorship. Your wishes are my command.
Well.
Can't you read, you dumb cluck? That door says private.
Open up. It's me, Gervais. Open up.
Oh, all right. Don't rush me. Oh, it's you, is it?
Let me in.
Well, hurry up. Don't want any of these nosy scientists around. Well, what do you want?
Still the same old place, huh? Teapot. Your crystal ball has dust on it. And why don't you get yourself a new pack of gypsy cards? And please get rid of that old overstuffed horror.
That old overstuffed horror is a rare old psychoanalyst couch. You see that hole? That's the original stuffing.
What is that smell? That's not tea you're drinking, it's gin.
Why, of course it is. Nice to see you, Sonny. It's about time you came to pay your old mother a visit. I kind of thought something like this would stir you up.
Mother, you know you shouldn't have done it.
What'd I do?
You fixed the prognostications, that's what you did. Although why you had to pick on me,
I got tired of supporting you. You're a big boy, and it's about time you earned your own living. Besides, I thought it'd be a good idea to elect a sympathetic administration. Sympathetic to me, that is. Palace needs a new ventilating system. The air in here is terrible.
Well, why didn't you use the prognosticator to get new ventilation put in?
Oh, they'd have gotten around it the same way you got around killing Kip. But you pay attention to the prognosticator, boy. Don't you try to weasel out of what it says by looking for double meanings. It's time you overlords learned that when the prognosticator says something, it means it.
Yes, Mother.
I'd hate to have to give orders to have my own boy disposed of. The last 3 disposals weren't so bad. But sometimes those disposals can turn out real messy.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, maybe blood is thicker than water, but not much.
Yes, Mother.
And why shouldn't you listen to my prognostications, huh? Just because they're dolled up a little doesn't mean they're not true. Don't I have a crystal ball? Don't I have a gypsy card pack? Don't I have tea leaves? Best tea leaves money can buy.
Yes, Mother.
So? What are you going to do?
I'm going to have the ventilating system attended to right away.
Now, that's my boy. Now, look at these here tea leaves in the bottom of my cup of gin.
Yes, Mother.
I can see that everything's going to work out fine. Just fine.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features The Hardest Bargain by Evelyn Smith. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you Man's Best Friend, a story from the pages of Galaxy, written by Evelyn Smith and adapted for radio by Ernest Kanoy. Featured in the cast were William Redfield as Schnee, Wendell Holmes as Floria, Santos Ortega as Kip, and Leona Powers as Mother, with Raymond Edward Johnson and Bob Hastings. Your announcer, Radcliffe Hall. With this broadcast, X-1 concludes its present series. The show will return to the air on Thursday, June 20th. Check your local radio listings for the new date and time. That's Thursday, June 20th. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
The magic island of Eupidia, home of a colony of mad scientists, would be a weird enough place to visit on a sightseeing tour. But it becomes fearful indeed to the little party of worldly people imprisoned there. When Mrs. Patricia Gregory set out to look for her young daughter, lost 14 years ago in the shipwreck, she little dreamed of the dangers her party would encounter. Captain Tex Bradford, friend of Patricia Gregory and organizer of the expedition, young Jerry Hall, amateur radio operator who begged to accompany them, and Joan Gregory, the daughter, are now prisoners on the island. Or rather, inside the island, as their quarters are down in the depths of this man-made structure. Left to their own devices after their escape and recapture, our friends soon discover that there is little pleasure in their imprisonment. They are nearly maddened by the constant echo of their voices
in the steel chambers.
Well, I know things don't look any too hot for us right now, but we've got to keep our chins up.
Oh, you've been wonderful, Jerry. I think yours is the strongest one of all.
And I'm willing to admit that I'm not apt to be much help about getting us out of this place.
Jerry is quite right in putting forward a brave face, even though intelligent thought would rule it useless.
Now, look here, Joan. Nobody's going to rule my face useless.
My reference was to your attitude rather than your appearance. However, if we are to enter into discussion of the matter, exactly what value does your face have?
Did you hear that? What value does my face have?
Now, Jerry, don't get excited and start an argument with Joan. We can occupy our time better than that.
Oh, it would seem so, Tex, and yet we must talk about something, and there's so little to be said.
Joan, let you and I go in my room at the end of the hall where we can figure a way out of this thing.
I'm quite willing to confer with you if you will confine your conversation to the bounds of logic, Gerald.
Gerald? Huh. This is going to be a fine argument. Gerald. Oh, well, come on.
Take a look at the pigeons while you're there, will you?
Oh, we'll make sure they're all right.
You will make sure of nothing, my young fool.
G47.
Precisely.
We were merely going into the next chamber for a discussion, G47.
Then be on your way. I have something to say to your mother and Captain Bradford.
Come right on in, G47.
Your attempt at courtesy is only a ridiculous gesture. I shall come and go within these chambers as I please.
Well, is it all right if we go on now?
No. Nothing you could do would be right. But you have my permission. Go.
Come on, Joan. You know, that guy gives me the willies.
Jerry, the willies are what?
Oh, so you forgot that already. Here I waste a lot of time trying to teach you English, and now you forget what the willies are.
I am sorry, Jerry, but your words are so strange to me.
No more than this blame island is strange to me. Huh. Hey, this door's open. That means old Geometry's been in here taking himself a good look around.
We cannot prevent that. He rules Euclidia.
Yeah, I know it. Well, let's go in and sit down. Maybe we can figure some way out of this mess.
These apartments are very comfortable, are they not?
They are not. This blame echo thing is driving me crazy. Nothing is comfortable that you can't get out of when you want to.
You may be right.
You know I'm right.
No, Jerry. I know you think you are quite correct in everything you do, but
I'm getting along all right. Now listen, old G47 isn't calling on your mother and Captain Bradford for any tea party. He's going to threaten him with something or else promise him something to get Tex's formula. And we may have to work fast to figure another escape.
But there is no opportunity for escape now.
That's what you said before, and we got away.
But we did not, as you would say. Stay got away.
Stay got away. Oh, what's the use? Now, if we only get another chance to use those pigeons. Hey, Joan, the pigeons are gone.
Jerry, they are not here.
No, I'll say they're not here. But how did they get out?
G47.
But we'd have heard him moving around in this echo stuff here.
Not G47. He would make no sound.
No sound in this place?
Did you hear any footsteps when he came to the door?
Golly whiskers, Joan, you're right. It didn't make a sound. But when we walk around here, it sounds like a truck on cobblestones.
We have been talking for a considerable period of time in Mother's apartment.
Uh-huh. Long enough for him to do anything he wanted to.
There have been no homing pigeons on Euclidia, to my knowledge, which is, of course, limited to the confines of information our scientists have stipulated as the maximum advisable for consumption at my age.
Right with you, Joan. Those old boys have told you as much as they thought a kid could swallow.
Gerald, I am not a kid. A kid...
Yeah, I know. Don't tell me again. A kid is a young goat. Now, if you'll stop trying to educate me and listen to reason for a while, we might figure a way out of this.
But there is no way out. G47 will not relax the vigilance of the Euclideans again. Our case is particularly hopeless since our escape.
Why any more since that?
G47 will now realize our potentialities and be doubly anxious to secure the captain's formula.
Well, he can figure all he wants to. But G47 or no G47, we'll get off this funny island someday, and I'll bet it won't take long either.
It seems almost impossible that so stupid a person would be given such splendidly continuous vocal equipment.
Jerry, He heard you.
Oh, what of it? He didn't hear anything he doesn't know.
It would need a man far more ignorant than any on Euclidia to learn anything new from one of your mental caliber, Hall. In a very short space of time, you may understand more fully what I mean. In a very short time. A very short...
Gee, he's gone. Through that steel wall, without a sound.
Jerry, you should know that G47 did not go through that steel wall.
Well, it looked like he did.
And even after your experiences with these Euclidean scientists, you are willing to accept the appearance for the fact?
Oh, yeah, he didn't go through the wall at all.
To be sure he did not.
To be sure, nothing of this is Screwy Island. But I guess I know what happened. He stepped around a sharp corner in that hallway, and the polished steel made his reflection look like it was passing through.
Now your mental processes are functioning again.
Yeah, but no matter how old geometry got out of here, it's just another good sign that he knows a lot of tricks we'll have trouble catching up with.
Jerry, listen.
Yeah, that's a signal to submerge, isn't it?
It is. And that would mean one of two things.
Well, I know it means the island is in danger of being seen for one thing, but what's the other?
Something which would mean the end of all our hopes.
Huh? They're going to drown us?
I think not, but it might be as well.
Hey, listen. I don't like the way you say that. What goes on here?
Here they are in here, Pat.
Oh, Joan, Jerry, we've the most wonderful news.
Observation would lead us to conclude that information of an optimistic nature would be welcome.
Joan's afraid things are looking bad for us.
Well, they don't look any too good. But with what we just found, there's every chance we'll get away from this island.
What is it?
The very thing we've been looking for every hour since we landed on this mad island. Look.
A little black notebook. Well?
The diary of the old sailor.
Is that it?
That's it, boy. The old sailor's diary. And if it's as complete as we think it is, we'll know as much about this island as the Euclideans know.
You will undoubtedly find much of value in that book.
It wasn't even hidden. After G47 left the room, Tex and I started to get acquainted with our surroundings. And there, lying on a shelf in plain sight, was this book.
And that old sailor spent years here, didn't he, Joan? Years in which he studied this island and waited for his chance to escape, and made entries of all he learned in this diary.
That is true.
Then that diary should tell us all we need to know to plan an escape from this place.
Without doubt, it will tell us all we need to know to plan the escape.
But, Joan, dear, why do you sound so hopeless?
Oh, Joan is so afraid of these people, she doesn't realize the chance this gives us.
I don't know about that. When Joan puts on the graveyard look, she's usually got a pretty good reason for it.
But there couldn't be anything lacking in what this book means to us. We all agreed, and you were heartily in agreement with us on it, Joan, that if we could find this diary, it would quite possibly mean our escape.
Where did you say you found this book?
In Pat's apartment.
And the book was not concealed? No attempt had been made to hide it?
Why, no, dear. It was lying right in front of us.
Huh. You're right, Joan.
Maybe I'm thick, but I still don't see it. A book we wanted is still a book we want, no matter where it was found.
Even if it had been left where you could not help but find it?
Huh? Where we... Oh, golly whiskers.
Joan, dear, we didn't find the book. It was simply handed to us.
Yes, Mother.
Then that means just one thing. The book isn't going to do us any good.
Looks like that's it. These Euclideans have figured out some way of being sure we'll stay here as long as they want us, no matter how many books we find.
That is the situation to be faced.
Oh, and I thought the little diary meant so much.
Don't look so downhearted, Pat. That diary means plenty. We're going to get off this man-made torture city someday, and when we do, we can use that information to further scientific work in the right direction back home.
That's all swell, but Joan's got the idea we're not going to get back home.
Did you hear that?
That signal gong of theirs. They're going to submerge this island or do some more of their tricks.
I think it meant more than that.
What is it?
Don't act so mysterious, Joan. We must know all that you know about this island and know it as quickly as possible if we're to have a chance to escape.
I will tell you, Mother, the instant I'm certain as to the meaning of that signal. If it was what I believe it to be, it will be repeated in 60 seconds.
Well, if that's some special signal that we don't know anything about, let's keep quiet when it starts again so Joan can tell exactly what it is.
In the meantime, let's... Oh, so they took the homing pigeons.
Yes, Captain Tex. The little pigeons are gone.
And with them went our strongest hopes for escape.
Well, I didn't think they'd let us keep them anyway.
Now, don't be too downhearted over the loss of those birds. These scientists won't hurt them any. They'll give them every care and attention because they want to study them. And the pigeons have done their work for us long ago. You all seem to forget that Johnson is on his way to the States with our possession, and he knows where to get my formula. All we have to do is to hang on until he can have that formula compounded and organize a rescue party. We can expect rescue in less than 3 weeks.
1, 2, 1. Yes, that is the signal. And the position Johnson has for this island is quite useless.
Useless? Why, Joan?
That was the signal to move the island.
You mean to submerge it?
No, I mean to move it. Move it along the floor of the ocean for 1 mile or 25 miles or 1,000 miles.
Move this island? But, gee, golly whiskers, if they can move this whole island, how will anybody find us?
That is our hopeless position, Jerry. No one will ever find us.
When the Gregory yacht left Los Angeles in search of the Magic Island and Mrs. Gregory's long-lost little daughter, Joan, they anticipated plenty of trouble and were not long in finding it. They planned and executed one escape, only to be brought back to the strange island of Euclidia, where their position is now worse than ever, as they're confined in steel cells on one of the lower levels of this mad scientific colony. G47, master scientist and ruler of Euclidia, has just paid them a visit, not a pleasant one. Mrs. Gregory, Joan, Jerry, and Captain Bradford stand listening to a new threat. The signal to submerge the island of Euclidia is sounding, and with it, another signal which only Joan understands. Jerry, Tex, and Pat find it hard to believe Joan as she explains the second signal.
There's that blamed gong again.
The island will be moved.
You mean that, Joan? They will actually move this huge island?
Yes, Mother.
Well, golly whiskers.
That's a pretty big order, Joan. This island is 100 feet high and several hundred feet in diameter.
And it weighs more than 1 million tons. Yet it will be moved. It is moving now.
Well, how do they move it?
There are immense cantilever-activated units of the worldly articulated caterpillar type, which simply progress slowly but steadily along the ocean floor.
An island that weighs 1 million tons walking around on the floor of the ocean? This is a nightmare.
Yet it's real. Horribly real. I can feel a steady vibration now. The entire place seems to be rocking gently from side to side.
That is a fair layman's description of the action.
Oh, yeah? Well, a layman's description is plenty good enough for me now. I don't need a lot of scientific languages to tell me that we're sunk.
We are not sunk, Jerry. We are submerged.
Well, sunk or submerged, we're underwater just the same, and I'm no fish.
I know how you feel, Jerry. We don't seem to be able to do very much about it. So let's try to take it as calmly as we can.
But, Tex, this means the end of everything. When the island is moved, our position is changed. No one will find us, and all of Johnson's work to bring aid will be lost.
That's about it, Pat.
Then there's nothing we can do.
Oh, Joan and I'll get you out of this. Don't worry about that.
Well, of course, we're glad to have your spirits so high, Jerry, and you have done a great deal. But do you know what you're going to do about this?
No, not yet. But I'll figure it out.
We'll all work on it, Jerry, and something surely must come out of it.
Jerry and I were fortunate in discerning certain possibilities on our tour of the island previous to our recent ill-fated escape attempt. Perhaps we could do as well if the attempt were repeated, though our activities would of necessity be directed along different lines.
She means that we can try it again, but we'll have to get a new angle.
Oh, thank you, Jerry.
Got any ideas, Joan?
Nothing of value at the moment, but Jerry and I may be able to discover something. May we go and carefully observe everything in this portion of the island?
You may be running into danger, dear.
How? We're locked in this little bunch of steel rooms. How are we going to get hurt any more by looking around than we would by just standing still?
I think Jerry's right, Pat. Let them go. They did all right for us before. And if they can't get out, nothing can get in to hurt them.
Don't stay away too long, will you?
Oh, it won't take us long to look this little place over. And we'll be back as soon as we find anything that looks like news.
Do not worry, Mother. We will return soon.
That's funny.
What, Tex?
That hollow echo of their steps on the steel floor, but the echoes are gone from the rest of the room.
Why, yes, so they are. Our voices are perfectly normal.
Yet the steps continue to echo. Oh, this is certainly a weird island.
Tex, now that the children are out of hearing, what do you really think about our chances?
Not any too good, Pat.
In fact, hopeless.
No, Pat, it isn't quite that bad.
Oh, yes, it is. You might as well admit it. They've locked us in these steel apartments, in one of the lower levels, and taken our homing pigeons, without our only means of communication, and locked up in a steel room below the surface of the sea. What possible chance could we have?
We escaped before, didn't we?
Yes, from the surface of the island, with the help of our pigeons, and Johnson, and another boat.
Yes, and Johnson is still free. He must be nearly to Los Angeles by this time, and our rescue may be only a matter of days or weeks at the most.
There's no reason to try to deceive me, Tex. We're all in this together. You and Jerry are in the same hopeless position just because you wanted to help me. And even Joan is in danger because of my attempt to take her back to our world. She was comparatively happy here with these Euclideans until we came. She knew nothing of our world, and her mother was only a name to her. Now we've brought to her all the promise of the love and brightness in our world, the promise that it would one day become her world, and we can't make good on that. It's rather a miserable failure, Tex, for all of us, and it's all my fault.
No, Pat, that's no way to talk. Look how Jerry and Joan keep their heads up. They know as much about the danger here as we do. Surely we can do as well as those kids.
Oh, Jerry's fine. He's been such a help and comfort to me. But I promised his father that I'd take care of him. Take care of him by getting him imprisoned under the sea in an artificial island peopled by mad scientists. Why, take care of him.
Stop that. You're not going to help things by going to pieces. We'd better be putting all our energy on some plan to get out of this place.
Oh, but it's all so hopeless.
We haven't even tried to get out since they put us in these steel cells. We haven't studied the old sailor's diary.
You're right. That diary may contain something of value to us.
No doubt of that, after the old man tried so hard to get it to us.
And where is the old man now?
Where is he? Why, he's... well...
Exactly.
But we have his diary, and it's supposed to contain a detailed description of nearly everything on this island.
He couldn't use that knowledge to make his own escape.
Pat, I've never known you to act just like this. You sound so absolutely hopeless about it all.
Oh, perhaps I'm overtired. I've never felt quite this hopeless before. I'm sorry, Tex. You've been so sweet all these years, waiting for me to find Joan, waiting for me to do this and that, and now... Oh, Tex, it looks as if we've waited too long.
Oh, nonsense, Pat. Keep your chin up. We'll get out of this somehow. You've been a very wonderful person through it all. 14 years of waiting for Joan, and now you have her. It's not right that we shouldn't get back to our world to enjoy all this, and we will get back.
Mrs. Gregory.
Oh, is that Jerry?
Sounded like it.
Mother?
Yes, that was Joan.
Come here a minute.
Where are you?
Down at the end of this steel hall. Come on and take a look at what's happening here. Hurry up and come in, will you?
Coming, Jerry.
He doesn't sound as if anything serious was wrong. But it isn't. Jerry would be so impatient.
Now, Mother, you and the captain must not be too badly frightened by what Jerry and I have discovered.
We mustn't what?
You two won't get scared if we show you something, will you?
What in the world has come over you, Jerry? Captain Bradford and I are not apt to be frightened by anything you take so calmly. What is it?
It may be of great moment to all of us, and it may be a mental enlargement of a minute accidental circumstance brought about by our proximity to countless things beyond the comfortable grasp of tired minds. In either event, it will avail us nothing to give it undue consideration.
Joan means we may be making a mountain out of whatever they make mountains out of, but she's afraid it's as bad as it looks.
Well, for heaven's sakes, Joan, what is all this?
You show them, Jerry. I will watch in the corridor.
No use doing that. Everything we're saying is being heard anyhow.
I expect that's true enough, but get on with it, kid. What stirred you all up?
Well, take a look on the floor, down here in the corner of this cell.
On the floor?
Yes. And if you look close, right up against that wall, you'll see where there's a little moisture coming in. Water or something. But it isn't any accident, I'll bet. See how steady it drops through that fine hole? Just as if the hole had been drilled there to let the water in.
Yes, I see it now.
But what could it mean?
It could mean a great many things, most of which I'd just as soon not think of now.
Well, I got an idea what it is. And that's the reason Joan and I didn't want to tell you about it at first.
If it's anything that important, we should know about it at once.
I'll say so. Come on, let's have it, Jerry, and hurry it up.
Well, Joan says that she heard some funny stories about people who had been put in these lower-level cells. Stories about water running into the place in a stream like this one, no bigger than a pinhole. And maybe it takes weeks or months or maybe a year. But finally the water gets so deep in here that you have to stand up to keep your head above it. And when you can't stand it anymore, you tell those crazy Euclideans whatever it is they want to know.
But, Jerry, you say Joan spoke of others who had been put down in here? And these rooms slowly flooded? Who were they?
There is no longer any need to worry about our conversation. You will note that our voices no longer echo. That would mean that the directional rays are focused upon our chambers, and everything we say or do will be heard and seen in the central communication chamber.
Well, as long as we can speak right out in meeting, I'd like to know a whole lot more about this water running in here on the floor.
You've heard something of it, Joan?
I have heard many discussions between G47 and his assistants relative to the prisoners in these cells. All of them were people of importance in the scientific world. or high officers in the armies and navies of countries of the orderly world. All of them had some secret that the Euclideans wanted to learn. And when this water would rise to the level of the prisoner's mouth, they would learn what they desired.
They wouldn't have to wait that long for me.
Joan, my dear, do you think we are being subjected to that punishment now in order to secure the captain's formula for the Euclideans?
I am sure of it, Mother. We will never be allowed to leave these rooms until G47 knows all there is to be known of the universal solvent.
About how long will it take to fill this room, Joe?
That I do not know, Captain. But it will take only a few hours for the water to lie on the floor to the depth of an inch in this room, and closing the room off will do no good, as the water will simply pass into the next room when it reaches the depth of 1 inch.
Oh, the sensible thing to do would be to give up my formula right now and take our chances on what they would do with us after that.
It might be just as well, Captain.
Now, don't you do it, Tex. We've still got plenty of time to figure some way out of this.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Jerry, though I must admit I haven't the faintest idea as to how to go about it.
But, Pat, you're all in danger.
Not as great danger as we would be once these Euclideans had taken all they wanted from us.
You're right, Mrs. Gregory. That formula is all they're saving us for, and let's hang on to it as long as we can.
Somebody knocking on the hall door.
That is strange. The Euclideans do not knock.
But no one except the Euclideans would have the freedom of these chambers.
You three stay where you are. I'll find out.
Oh, be careful, Tex.
Don't worry. I'll watch everything.
Something funny going on here. Notice how quickly the captain's steps stop making any noise?
No one on Euclidia ever knocks at a door. I do not like this.
Oh, you children are overly excited.
Well, maybe. But just the same. Hey, Tex! Tex! Captain Bradford!
Jerry, Tex doesn't answer. Do you think that...
Exploring tomorrow. And now here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, the editor of Astounding Science Fiction magazine, John Campbell Jr.
In the biblical story of the handwriting on the wall, everybody could see that handwriting. The king, Belshazzar, could see it clearly enough. Trouble was he couldn't tell what it meant. If you recall, he had to call in an interpreter. A lot of people can see handwriting on the wall. The argument is, what does it mean? The thing that makes reading that handwriting on the wall so difficult many times is that the message is one we don't want. We don't want to be able to read. Many times when a man's faced with a problem that he can't solve, he doesn't want to admit that it's an absolute limitation that cannot be broken. Then the grand old art of buck passing comes in. That's when you start saying, well, it isn't my fault. He won't let me. Let's consider a situation of that type.
My name is Lester McClellan, Secretary General of the United Nations. It was a busy day in the year 2180. The ambassador from a now independent colony on Venus was due to see me that morning. And there was a note on my desk requesting me to call Dr. Kingston, head of the UN Research Bureau, as soon as I had a chance. Kingston was working on a project vital to the future of mankind. I decided to call him. Morneal, I got your message. What goes?
Good news about the space drive project. There's been a substantial breakthrough. We've made a qualitative advance.
And what does that mean in plain English?
That we'll be finished with the groundwork in less than a year. Maybe even next month.
Have you prepared a news release on this thing?
Not yet, Lester. We're waiting for official approval first. Look, can you come down to the lab sometime today? I can give you a briefing on the new material. Fill you in.
I'll try, but I'm not promising. The ambassador from Venus is due any minute, and you know what a tough job I'm going to have with him.
Yeah, I understand. Well, Lester, if you're free at all...
I'll call you back if I am.
Right. Good luck with the ambassador.
Thanks. Oh, he's coming now. I can't talk anymore.
Try to see me later, will you?
Bye, Bernie.
Secretary General McClellan, I'm David Rockwood, Art Secretary of Venus Central Council. How do you do?
Won't you be seated, Mr. Rockwood?
Oh, thank you.
I'm happy to welcome you back to the planet of your ancestors. Is this your first visit to Earth? It is. I wish I could hope that you'll enjoy your stay here, but I can't do that, can I? Anyway, we're very happy that the Outworlds agreed to send an observer to the Earth. We have a major problem here, Mr. Lockwood. We think your worlds can help us. Of course, you're familiar with the text of the General Assembly resolution.
Of course. The three governments of the former Earth colonies of Mars, Venus, and Callisto have sent me as their representative. The space travel is not cheap, you know. We saw no need of 3 observers when one would do.
Yes. Yes, I see. I've arranged for you to have a brief guided tour of parts of the Earth to illustrate our population problem.
Oh, very well. We've agreed to reserve decision until we've seen Earth.
We can begin our tour now, if you like. And this is the Bureau of Population Statistics. You see that screen over there, Mr. Lockwood, the one with the red numbers on it? It's the up-to-date record on Earth's population. Every birth and death is automatically set into the main computer channel as soon as it's known, and within an hour it's registered up there.
13,762,312,000. The last column doesn't stay still long enough for me to read it.
No, it doesn't. We average 500,000 new Earthmen a day, and the computer has to move fast to keep up. It's an average gain of 3 or 4 million people a week, 150 million a year. And the figure keeps rising.
What you need is a really efficient plane. Something to clear away 3 or 4 billions.
I don't find that very amusing, Mr. Rockwood. An interplanetary war would achieve the same thing. Shall we move on? Down there you see New York City. Population 15.5 million.
Incredible. One long stretch of buildings. Well, the largest city on Venus has only 200,000 people.
I can remember when we still had trees in New York. Not anymore. Wood is a luxury on Earth now.
And so is living space. Where do you expect to put the billions you're figuring on in coming years?
I wish I knew. We're converting Mars and Venus and Callisto into livable worlds, but the rest of the planets are impossible to convert. We need population relief in a hurry.
Meaning emigration to Venus, Mars, and Callisto?
Yes. If you will permit us to send more settlers to the planets we built and colonized.
Oh, come now. Do you really think we owe you the right to send the overflow to us?
Let's finish the tour. We can discuss possible arrangements later.
You know, the handwriting doesn't have to be on a wall. Sometimes it can be on the face of a computer, as it was this time. But the handwriting was there. But now, what is the meaning of this handwriting? Does it mean the colonists should allow Earthmen to move out? Or does it maybe have some other meaning?
And this is Food Station 117, an artificial island in the Gulf of Mexico. Since we've hardly any open land on Earth for cultivation, we've turned to farming the sea. We've developed some new foods. These are plankton sticks, synthesized from small sea creatures, microscopic crustaceans. And this bread comes from plankton flowers. Taste it.
Oh, dear. It's not very tasty stuff, is it?
No, it isn't. But half of Earth's population knows no other food. It's nutritious, and the supply is practically limitless. And we can't spare land for grazing animals. The only ones left are in the zoo. Care for another slice of steak?
No, thanks. No, thanks. This one will do very well. May I have something to drink, please, to wash away that taste?
How did you enjoy the rush hour subway ride?
It was a nightmare.
I've given you as good a sample of Earth's life as is possible in a single day. You've seen much of North America, but it's worse elsewhere. Why, in Asia alone...
Please, Miss McLaren, no more statistics. You've made your point over and over again.
I'm sorry if I've tired you. But I wanted to show you the contrast between Earth and your own uncrowded planet. And now I appeal to you, Mr. Rockwood, in the name of the humanity that's common to all our worlds.
You want us to let you send overflow masses to us?
We built those colonies as a safety valve for overpopulation. And now that we need to use that valve, it's shut tight. Mr. Rockwood, I'm a reasonable man. I know we're asking something that amounts to an imposition, but I beg you.
I agree. Earth is terribly overcrowded. The population of Venus is about 700 million. Mars has about 1 billion. Callisto, 300 million. Now, these figures are close to the peak of optimum population. And since our death rates are low, thanks to medical advances, we have to keep a careful watch over birth rates to maintain normal population distribution.
I ask you to
hear me out, please. We're deeply moved and sympathetic to your plight. We wish we could help you. We feel pity, the pity we would have for an idiot who, given a loaded gun, proceeds to blow his brains out.
What did you say?
I knew how overcrowded Earth was before I took your little tour. But we haven't grown overcrowded and won't. Why? Because we have small worlds, smaller than Earth. We can't allow ourselves to breed at Earth's rate. We see the inescapable need for certain self-restrictions.
You don't see the moral obligation to accept some of our excess people?
We see a moral obligation to refuse. To force you to see your real problem and its solution.
I am empowered by the General Assembly, Mr. Rockwood, to exert any means within my power to make you change your mind. And Earth, I'm afraid, has more armed vessels than your 3 worlds combined.
So you're threatening war?
Not war. Survival. You have country estates, rolling green fields, and we don't have an inch of free space.
So you'll fight to make us let you in? You're bigger fools than I thought. 14 billion of you crammed onto one world, and a mere 2 billion of us scattered over 3. Why, a war would ruin you. We'd bomb you in a shotgun spray and knock off 100,000 no matter where we struck. While you'd have to pry us out of nooks and crannies. We'd lose perhaps 100 million people, but you'd lose billions. I think we could risk it.
So you won't yield. You'd risk war even. You won't take colonists. When we colonize the stars, we shall do it differently.
The stars? Yes, you're counting on them as your last hope. But do you seriously think colonizing the stars can help your population problem? Oh, look, Mr. McClellan, even if you invented a workable star drive tomorrow, it would take 5 years before the first ships got off the ground. You're adding 500,000 a day. Now, how many people would these ships hold? 1,000 each? With 500,000 new births a day, you wouldn't be able to ship people to the stars fast enough to keep up. The math's against you, sir. You'd have to run as fast as you could just to stay where you are.
I suppose there's no further negotiation we can do, Mr. Rockwood. I'll arrange for your immediate return to your home planet.
Will you think about what I've said?
I'll think about it, yes. But we have 14 billion people on Earth.
Mr. McClellan, we're not anxious for war. But your threat doesn't scare us either. We'll fight to defend our way of life. And we'll win, sir. Good day, Mr. McClellan.
Human enough to want to pass his troubles along to another person. In this case, he wanted to make it that his troubles were because the colonists wouldn't let people emigrate. That wasn't the trouble. The trouble was emigration had become impossible. And that was the thing that he had to accept. And like the king in the biblical story, he didn't want that interpretation How's her handwriting on the computer?
Sit down, Bernie. Tell me how this star drive of yours is coming. I think we've got it licked, Lester. But you tell me, are the colonies going to open up? No. No. But they can't do that. They just can't clam up and refuse to take in Earthmen. Well, Lester, we built those colonies. They don't have the right. I want to talk about the star drive, Bernie. How close to finished is it? Well, we haven't fully worked out the field equations yet. But with some fast computer work... I'm not interested in equations. How long do you think it'll be before Earth has spaceships that can travel faster than the speed of light, fast enough to reach the stars? I told you before, Lester. Maybe a month, maybe 2 months. Till the pilot model is finished, that is. No more than a year, certainly. Now, you had some very interesting figures thrown at me today. Have you ever realized how many ships we'd need to send out before we can even make a dent in our population? Hundreds a day. Well, even so, it would help some to get... No, it wouldn't. Bernie, I want you to do me a favor. When you perfected your new star drive, hide it. Don't destroy it, because we'll need it someday, but sit on it. Put the schematics away until I give the word, and don't publish your findings. Have you gone crazy, Lester? No, I've suddenly gone stark, raving sane. Look, the new star drive is a dodge, a subterfuge. It's a substitute for the real answer to our problem, Bernie. Venus is not overcrowded. They're controlling population increase there. What does all this have to do with my star drive? Why should I stop work on it? Because it will cloud the issue. The people won't believe the figures. As long as there's what seems to be a way out, they'll cling to it. If you suppress the star drive, there'll be no way out at all. And Earth either cracks wide open or it grows up. There's no middle course. And you're suggesting that I deliberately destroy my life's work just for a while. Sure, it's a great thing to explore the stars, but first we need to control ourselves. If the world learns that there's a star drive, they'll think it's a way out. It isn't, but we'll never convince them of it. First, we set up our population control programs, make them see the need for them, get them into operation, and then reveal the existence of the drive. We may have to wait a generation. No, I absolutely refuse. You can't meddle with science this way, Lester. Research must continue. If you interfere with me this way, well, I'll have no choice but to resign. Your resignation is accepted, Bernie. Effective immediately. What? But I only meant that if... I'm sorry, Bernie. So you're actually fine, if you want to call it that. You don't want to understand how disastrous it would be to continue work on the star drive. Okay. Your successor will be a man who will understand such things. Maybe he won't be as gifted as you are, Bernie, but that's all right. The stars can wait. Lester, you can't fire me like this. So cold-bloodedly, so ruthlessly. We've been friends for years. You think I don't know that. But all along, I've been soft-hearted, been making concessions, taking the easy way out. We farmed the seas. We colonized 3 worlds. We cleared away half the Antarctic ice pack to make new land. All big, important things, but all dodging the real issue. Now I'm backed against the wall. The whole world is. I can't be soft-hearted anymore. Lester, this doesn't sound like you. I know. You think I like the spot I'm in now? But a new order has to come about. An order which demands strength, tough-mindedness, courage. It's either that or a situation I don't want to think about. I can't let anything stand in the way now. Do I have time to clear out my office? You can have until tomorrow. And remember that you're still bound by security regulations in case you plan to scream to the news sheet. I'll remember it. So long, Lester. Good luck. Thanks. I'm probably going to need it.
limitations even to what science can accomplish, the highest technology, the fundamental physical limitation of the amount of matter there is in the universe. Old Malthus was right. With a higher technology, you can push the limit out a little further, but not beyond the limits of the universe. They're fundamental. It comes necessary, sooner or later, to go in for quality instead of quantity. Not for numbers, but for fineness. Not for bigger, but for better. That's the direction we've got to go.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, who today has no idea that Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane may have cut out some fancy trouble for themselves. We'll join them in a moment. But right now, Dan McCullough has some exciting news for us.
Say, gang, how many of you have been lucky enough to get a look at a real Army walkie-talkie and see how it operates? Well, I don't imagine many of you have, but here's some exciting news that every one of you will want to hear. Now, you can get a grand cardboard model of a walkie-talkie that really works. That's right. The Kellogg people, makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep, are offering you a swell working model of a walkie-talkie. And believe me, gang, it's one of the most amazing instruments I've ever seen. This Kellogg walkie-talkie is almost a foot high, done in regular Army color, and it has an earphone and mouthpiece built right in. It comes all ready to put together with full instructions printed right on the mailing envelope, and it's equipped with a strap handle, a tuning-in dial, and 2 aerial sticks. Besides that, gang, you get a smaller transmitter receiver and 48 feet of communication line so that you can talk and listen to another person while he uses the receiver transmitter. Now, here's how you get one of these wonderful instruments. Send 2 Kellogg's Pep box tops along with 10 cents in cash and your name and complete address clearly printed to Superman, Box 80, that's Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. Now, I'll repeat that for you. Send 2 Kellogg's Pep box tops along with 10 cents in cash and your name and complete address clearly printed to Superman, Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. You'll be rushed your own model of a walkie-talkie that really works. And, gang, be sure to keep on listening because I've got more important information for you a little later in the program.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Yesterday, as you remember, Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, disobeying Clark Kent's warning not to leave the hotel in Montreal that night, trailed John Lacey to the cemetery of the Sacre-Cœur, where René Lefebvre is supposed to be buried. Since they believe that Lefebvre is the man in the canvas vest who has been transporting gold into the United States, both Jimmy and Lois doubted the story that he had been dead for 2 years. But once inside the cemetery, they discovered a mausoleum bearing Lefebvre's name. Puzzled, they were trying to decide what to do next, when suddenly they heard a voice coming from the mausoleum. Listen.
This will be my last flight. After that, I'll rule the world.
Almost before the echoing voice died, Jimmy noticed a flickering light coming from a small barred window in the mausoleum. Climbing a tree, he crawled out on a branch level with the window and through the walkie-talkie reported to Lois that he saw 3 men inside. Suddenly and without warning, the branch began to crack. Frantically, Jimmy tried to save himself, but too late. Losing his balance, he fell head over heels to the ground.
What happened? Are you hurt? My ankle. Miss Lane beat it. They must have heard me fall. Run. Get out of here as fast as you can.
I'll leave you alone? Nothing doing. Come on, we'll try it together.
No, I tell you. There's no sense both of us getting caught. I twisted my ankle. I can't move.
Listen, they're opening the door. You've got to try to get up, Jim. You've got to.
No use.
Come on now. There. You're making it. Lean on me.
Oh, I'm on my feet at least. Oh, one foot. Where's the gate? Here they come. Drop me and run. No. They've got a flashlight. Oh, now we're sunk.
Premature. Come on along, you.
Let go of me.
You put
Take it easy, will you?
Come on,
You
you.
big bully. Don't you see that boy is hurt? No. Why don't you pick on somebody your own size?
Come on, bring them in.
Oh,
I'm all right inside now.
This one smokes and kicks like a she-tiger.
Jim. Jim, are you all right? Yeah, Miss Lane. My ankle.
Close the door, Marna.
Wait, monsieur.
No, light that other candle. Weed. Now, let's get down to business. First, we'll have a look at this one. Oh, playing dead, eh? Get up.
Oh, he's hurt. Don't you dare.
Pick him up, Marna. I want to get a good look at his face.
Don't bother. I can get up by myself. Oh.
Well, I thought there was something familiar about you. So you didn't go into the river after all. You and that crack-voiced friend of yours.
No, but it wasn't your fault.
Strange, very strange. Usually my men are thorough.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Escaped from a car at the bottom of a river.
You'd like to know, wouldn't you? Well, try guessing since you're so smart.
Look here, you. What's your game?
It's an interesting question. I'll answer it. I'll answer it because you won't be able to pass the information on once I'm finished with you.
What do you mean?
Oh, don't turn so pale, Miss Lane. It won't be painful.
What won't be painful?
Your departure from this earth. I admit it may be a trifle uncomfortable.
Now, wait. It's one thing to be caught for illegal possession of gold, and it's another thing to be tried for murder.
They'll have to catch me to try me, won't they?
Conceited and arrogant, like all criminals, aren't you?
And with good reason, Miss Lane. You think of me only as a petty smuggler of gold. I am much more than that. Eventually, I will control, and I alone, most of the gold in the world.
Oh, no, I know you're crazy. Most of the gold in the world is in Fort Knox. And even you couldn't get in there. Nobody can.
You think not? Too bad you won't be alive to read the headlines. All right, Myrna. Move the iron shutter across the window. We'll lock it from the outside.
What? You mean you're going to leave us here?
Yes, that's the general idea. The air in here isn't fresh enough to keep you alive for more than an hour. So I shall kill two birds with one stone. You'll tell no tales, and I will leave no evidence.
But that's inhuman.
Save your breath, Miss Lane. No use arguing with him.
Ready, Myrna?
Ready, monsieur.
Good. Come along, then. Goodbye, Miss Lane.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hey, wait. Mr. Lacey, wait. Wait.
Locked in the mausoleum, with only enough air to keep them alive for an hour, Jimmy and Lois are in a dangerous position. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Clark Kent, wondering why they have not yet returned to his rooms, decides to join them in the coffee shop, only to find it closed. Puzzled, he hurries over to the desk.
Excuse me a moment, please.
Yes, sir?
How long has the coffee shop been closed?
Oh, almost an hour, sir.
An hour?
Yes, sir. It closes at 9.
Well, tell me, did you happen to see Miss Lane and Mr. Olson leave the hotel?
Oh, you mean the American lady and the young man with her?
Yes.
Yes, I believe they went out some time ago. They're in quite a hurry. Possibly the doorman could give you some more information.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll ask him.
Taxi, monsieur?
No, not right now, thanks. I just wondered if you got a taxi recently for an American lady and a young man.
Oui, monsieur, I did. Perhaps an hour ago.
Yes?
They took my brother-in-law's cab.
Oh, well, do you happen to know where they went?
No. There were so many people going in and out at the time that it must have been some distance.
Well, why do you say that?
Well, you see, my brother-in-law, he does not like cruising. When he finishes one job, he comes back here to the hotel and waits till I get him another.
And he hasn't returned?
No. Since he rode away with your friends, I have not seen him. But wait. Even as we speak, he comes, see?
Oh, good.
If you wait one moment, monsieur, I will ask him.
All right. Oh, this is my fault. I should never have let them go down alone in the first place.
My brother-in-law, monsieur. He said he'd take them to no address definite.
Well, did he say what part of town it was? Any information will help.
Then we are happy to be of service. He said it was in the neighborhood of the Rue Montfort.
Rue Montfort.
If monsieur knows Montreal, if that is in the vicinity of the Cathedral de Sacré-Cœur.
Cathédrale de Sacré-Cœur. Thank you. Here.
Oh, thank you, monsieur. Merci.
Well, at least I've got something to work on. And I'd better not waste any time. Here we are. Shadow of this wall's as good a place as any to get out of these clothes. Make it fast. I told them not to leave the hotel, but of course they wouldn't listen. There we are. That does it. Now to find them as Superman.
Up, and away! Leaping high into the darkness, Superman goes in search of his two friends, Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. Will he find them in time? We'll know in a moment. But first, let's hear from our good friend.
Gang, I want to tell you how you can get an exciting model of a walkie-talkie, just like the one Jimmy Olsen has been using. So listen closely. Send 2 box tops from packages of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep, along with 10 cents in cash and your name and complete address, clearly printed, to Superman, Box 80, that's Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. You'll be rushed your own Kellogg walkie-talkie right away. And believe me, gang, you'll be one of the luckiest people in your neighborhood. You see, this grand Kellogg model walkie-talkie is almost a foot high, done in regular Army color, and it comes all ready to put together with full instructions for assembling it printed on the mailing envelope. Now, this Kellogg walkie-talkie has an earphone and a mouthpiece built right in, and it comes with a transmitter receiver and 48 feet of communication line. This means that 2 people can talk and listen over it at the same time. Furthermore, if you get your best friends to send for a Kellogg model walkie-talkie too, you can attach theirs to yours and have a marvelously effective communication system. So, gang, act now, because this offer is good for only a few more days. Send 2 Kellogg's Pep box tops and 10 cents in cash, along with your name and address clearly printed, to Superman, Box 80, that's Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. Hurry, gang, get your own model walkie-talkie while the offer is still good.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Almost 3/4 of an hour has passed since Lois and Jimmy were locked in the tomb of René Lefebvre. Although we know Superman is searching for them, they do not. By now, the air in the mausoleum is stale and dank. Both Jimmy and Lois are drowsy, making desperate efforts to keep awake.
There must be a way out, Miss Lane. There must be.
Don't talk, Jim. Every word you speak uses up oxygen.
But you can't just sit here and wait.
Where are you going?
I'm going to try to open the shutter on the window.
At your ankle, Jim. Wait a minute, I'll help.
Maybe you better do the climbing, Miss Lane.
Sure.
Here, I'll prop myself up against the wall like this and lace my fingers together. Then I can boost you up when you step on my hands.
But your ankle will never stand it, Jimmy.
Sure it will. I got my weight on the good foot. Come on, try it.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes. But I can't budge it yet. Set me down. I didn't think it would work.
Me neither. It locked it from the outside.
Jim, I feel faint.
Oh, sit down on the floor, right where you are. Now, put your head down.
It won't do any good. I just can't stay awake.
Wait. What's that?
Just the wind, Jim. Just the wind.
For a minute, it sounded like Superman. Miss Lane, please, don't go to sleep. Wake up. Wake up, Miss Lane. Please don't go to sleep.
Tense and terribly afraid that Lois has lost consciousness completely, Jimmy shakes her and calls to her, desperately trying to keep her awake. Was it only wind that Jimmy heard? Or is Superman hovering over the cemetery, searching for them? Don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode. Tune in, same time, same station, and follow the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, whose investigation of the strange accidents at Happy Land Farms may mean trouble for Jimmy Olsen. We'll learn more about it in a moment. But right now, here's Dan McCullough with a very special bulletin.
Say, gang, I know I don't have to tell you what a walkie-talkie is. No, sir. You know that the United States Marines and soldiers use the walkie-talkie on beachheads, on battlefields, for commands and for getting equipment to the front lines. I'll bet every time you see a walkie-talkie in pictures, you wish you could own one. Well, the real thing is for our servicemen, but here's what the Kellogg Company, makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep, have for you. A cardboard walkie-talkie that really works. You see, it's a model of the real kind soldiers use. It's regular Army color, it's almost a foot high, has an earphone and a mouthpiece built right in, and comes equipped with a smaller transmitter receiver so you can speak into it and get answers up to 48 feet away. Now, just imagine, you have 48 feet of communication line. Why, that's long enough to stretch almost clear across the schoolyard or down the block. Think of the games you can play with that, especially if your pals send for them, too. Then you can have a 3- or 4-way hookup that really works. Of course, to get the best results, you must carefully follow the directions for putting the instrument together. You'll find these printed right on the envelope. Now, here's how you get your Kellogg walkie-talkie. Send 2 box tops from packages of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep, along with 10 cents in cash, and your name and complete address, carefully printed, to Superman, Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. And your walkie-talkie will be rushed to you by mail. Remember now what you have to do. Send 2 box tops from packages of Kellogg's Pep, along with 10 cents in cash, and your name and complete address, clearly printed to Superman, Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. This offer is good for only a few more days, so get busy. Don't miss this chance to own a model walkie-talkie that really works.
And now, the adventures of Superman.
As you remember, a strange series of mysterious accidents have been plaguing the Happy Land Farms Inn, not the least of which was an attempt made on the lives of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Someone is evidently trying to gain possession of the property by frightening the owner, Steve Graham, into selling. But why? Kent suspects there is something of great value in an abandoned copper mine on the property. And as our story continues today, he has driven into town to have analyzed a sample of ore taken from the mine. Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen, who was forced to be the somewhat unwilling guest of Alfredo, a South American gaucho employed by Graham, is seated at a table in a small, seldom-used cabin some distance from the hotel. As we join them now, Alfredo was telling Jim about his run-in with Kent that afternoon.
That Senor Kent, he's make much big mistake when he have accused me, a true gaucho of the Pampas. I'll try to kill him and the Senorita Lane.
Well, Alfredo, you must admit he had a good reason for suspecting you.
No one have reason for accuse Alfredo of murder. Just because his robe burned on the pommel of my saddle. That is not mean I have tried to kill.
Well, you know how it is.
No, I do not. How is it?
Well, it's what's called circumstantial evidence.
I do not know what that is. But just the same, I'm very angry for this insult. Maybe someday I pay back this, Senor Kent. Jim.
Well, what's the matter?
Listen.
I don't hear anything.
It is stopped now.
Well, what was it?
I do not know. Sound like steps, maybe.
Gee whiz, I wonder who...
No. Do not be afraid, Jim. Maybe it is just my horse, Blanco. He does not like to be tied. You know?
Neither will you like it, Gaucho.
Shorty, what do you do here?
Alfredo, he's got a gun.
Yeah, and it's loaded, too. Don't touch that bullwhip, Gaucho. Reach for the ceiling. You too, kid.
I'm no kid, and don't you...
Shorty, what is the matter with you? You go loco, maybe, no?
Keep those hands up and turn around, both of you.
Hey, what is this, a gag?
You'll find out soon enough, sonny boy. So will your friends back at the inn.
I warn you, Shorty. If you put one dirty thing on this boy, Jim, I tell you part with my bare hands.
Save the big talk for somebody else, Gaucho. Walk over to the bed.
Alfredo does not take orders from Coyote like you.
Do as I say or I'll drill you.
Better do what he says, Alfredo.
Very well. For you, I do this, Jim.
Now, look, Shorty, or whoever you are.
On your lip. Stand where you are, understand? Now, put your hands behind you, Alfredo, and lie down on the bed, face down.
Huh?
Go on, do what I tell you. Don't try any funny stuff either.
Someday, surely, I will get you for this. And I will take great pleasure in killing you very dead.
Not if I see you first, you pampas palooka. Don't move. That's better. Now, come here, kid. Come here, I said. Here. Tie his wrist with these ropes.
Look, would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Right now, that ain't none of your business. Or keep your trap shut and do as I say. Tie his wrists.
No, I won't.
Would you rather get a bullet?
Jim, you do like you say. I do not mind.
Go on, tie him up.
All right, but just wait.
Shut up. Pull that knot tighter. That's it. I'll take a couple of loops around his ankles.
Well, what do you want to do that for?
Oh, one.
Okay.
Okay. Tie both those ends of the bed. That's swell. That ought to hold you, Gaucho.
One day you'll be very sorry, hombre, for this, Shorty.
That's what you think. Okay, now it's your turn, kid.
Huh?
Sit down on that chair and put your hands behind you. Now, just rope you up like this.
Shorty, I give you one more chance. Tell me why you do this.
Maybe you'll know in a couple of days when somebody comes around to let you loose.
In a couple of days? Gee whiz.
There you are. All right, make yourselves comfortable, fellas. I'll be seeing you sometime, maybe. So long now. Ain't nobody gonna find them for a while. Come on, Rex. I gotta tell the boss what a good job I done. Get, boy. Pleased with what he has done, Shorty, one of the farmhands, gallops off in the direction of the inn. A few moments later, a station wagon with Clark Kent at the wheel pulls up in front of the main house of Happyland Farms and comes to a skidding stop.
That you, Clark?
Yes. What are you doing out here alone in the dark, Lois?
Gee, I was kind of worried about you.
Afraid I might run into the ghost car?
Well, yes, if you must know, I was.
Didn't show up, as you can see. Guess I was a little early for it, though. It didn't really turn dark till after I'd passed through the tunnel.
I'm glad of that.
Has Jimmy come back?
No, and that's got me worried, too, Clark. Shorty, the man Mr. Blaine sent out to look for him, isn't back either.
I don't like that.
Well, neither do I, especially since Alfredo's missing, too. And he rode off hurling threats at us for insulting his honor.
I think we'd better see Graham or Blaine and do something about organizing a search party. Come on up to the office.
Gee, Clark, do you think something has happened to Jim?
I don't know, but that's not to panic.
Well, I'll never forgive myself if anything has happened to him.
Don't worry, we'll find him all right.
Golly,
Either Graham or Blaine is in.
Tom? Oh, hello, Miss Lane, Mr. Kent. I've been looking for you.
You have?
Yes, someone left this note for you, Mr. Kent.
Oh, thanks. Who was it, do you know?
I have no idea. I found it lying on my desk.
Well, that can wait, Clark. Let's see what we can do about finding Jim.
Is the boy lost?
He rode off early this afternoon, just before I left to ride into town, as a matter of fact. Blaine sent one of your men, Shorty, I think it was, to look for him. So far, neither Jim nor Shorty have put in an appearance.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Well, we wouldn't if not for Alfredo.
What about Alfredo?
Well, we had sort of a run-in with him today.
Oh, yes. Blaine told me about it.
He did?
You accused him of trying to kill you by sealing you in the old mine.
Oh, no, we didn't exactly accuse him. It was just that certain circumstantial evidence made it look that way.
Well, Alfredo's pretty hot-headed like most Latins, but I wouldn't be too concerned about it.
I wonder. He rode off in a boiling rage, Mr. Graham, threatening to pay us off. I'm afraid maybe he found Jimmy and took...
forget it, Miss Lane. Alfredo never means half the things he says. He cools off very quickly.
That's what I thought. But just the same, I'd like...
Oh, excuse me.
Hello? Who left this
Graham
note?
speaking.
Huh? Well, why don't you open it and see?
Well, that would be a good idea.
What? He did. Well, when was that? Uh-huh. Led to where? That's not so good.
Scott.
I think
What's
you
that,
better
Clark?
organize the
Here.
search party.
Read this.
Round up every available man. Yes? We'll join you right away.
Good heavens. This is awful.
That was Blaine, calling from the bunkhouse. Shorty just came back and reported following a trail left by young Olson and Alfredo down to the creek where he lost him.
Clark, he is with Alfredo.
Easy, Miss Lane, easy. I still don't think there's any cause for alarm.
Oh, no? Read this note, Mr. Graham.
Clark Kent. I got the kid Olson, and I'm going to hold him until you scram. If you don't get your nose out of things around here by tomorrow noon, anything can happen to him.
It's not signed.
What'll we do? We've got to find Jim.
We'll find him. You can count on every hand we've got here to help. I just told Blaine to organize a search party. Of course, it might be better if you just do as it says in the note.
You mean leave?
Yes, it would be the easiest way.
Oh, wait a minute.
Then the boy would be returned to you safely.
What guarantee have we of that?
Well, that's what the note says. And then neither you nor Miss Lane nor anyone would be taking any risk.
Oh, I don't care what anyone else does. I, for one, am not budging from this place before Jimmy is found and returned.
That goes for me, too. Come on, Lois. Let's join the search party.
Leaving Graham's office, Clark Kent and Lois Lane hurry out to join the search party being organized by Blaine. Will they find Jimmy, or are they just going to be led astray by the false information given them by the wily Shorty? We'll know more in a moment. But first, let's stand by for a timely tip.
Say you'd better call a meeting of your gang right away and remind them that there are only a few days left to send for their Kellogg model walkie-talkie. Remember, all you need to do is to send 2 box tops from packages of super delicious Kellogg's Pep, along with the dime, and your name and complete address, clearly printed, to Superman, Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. Why, what a kick you'll get when this grand Kellogg model walkie-talkie arrives. You see, this Kellogg cardboard model is made to look like the real thing. It's regular Army color, almost a foot high, and really works. It has an earphone and a mouthpiece built right in, and comes equipped with a receiver transmitter and 48 feet of communication line. This means that you can hold conversations with someone 48 feet away, while you can even whisper across the cord and still be heard at the other end. Now, you probably have one open package of Pep at home, so ask your mother to get you one more package so you can send her the 2 box tops with your dime right away. And say, tell your mother that when she takes the top off that second box, it won't affect the freshness, because Kellogg's Pep is wrapped airtight inside the package. Now, get busy, gang. Work fast and send those 2 box tops and a dime, along with your name and complete address, clearly printed to Superman, Box 80, Battle Creek, Michigan. This is your big chance to get a model walkie-talkie that really works.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. While Clark Kent and Lois Lane are joining a search party to find him, Jim Olsen is tied to a chair in an old cabin. Alfredo, the gaucho who brought him there, is trussed up and tied to a cot. As we join them now, Alfredo is valiantly struggling to free himself.
I'm afraid you're working for nothing, Alfredo. You'll never be able to get free.
You do a good job when you tie me here, Jim. But don't you worry. I think I'm going to get free.
Well, I sure hope so. But even if you get off the bed, your hands and feet will still be tied.
You will see what I do. And the rope, she's sleeping. Now, one good twist like this.
Oh, gee whiz, you did it.
I tell you I do it, no? Now, I just roll off the bed. So, I push me to my feet. Jump over the table. You see him?
Hey, that's swell. Now what are you going to do?
Now with his lap, I'm going to burn the rope off my hand. But first, I must take chimney off.
Hey, be careful, Alfredo. You're pushing the lamp to the edge of the table.
No. Caramba, the lamp should be sleeping. Try again.
Hey, look out. It's going to topple over.
Madre mia, she fall.
Hey, Alfredo. The table leg's on fire. Roll away from it.
I must try to stop it out.
See, now the floor's on fire. You can't stop it. Hey, we're trapped, Alfredo. We're trapped.
Fed by kerosene from the overturned lamp, a roaring blaze eats its way across the cabin's dry wooden floor, imprisoning Jimmy Olsen and Alfredo in a fire trap from which there is seemingly no escape. How will they be saved? We'll know tomorrow, so don't fail to be with us then. Tune in, same time, same station, for another thrilling episode in The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellas and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Stand by to raise ship. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0!
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. From every corner of Space Academy, spilling out of dormitories, tumbling from jet cars, jumping from slidewalks, hundreds of cadets race across the grassy quadrangle and crowd into the administration building to hear the results of rigid midterm examinations. As the voice of the officer of the day crackles harshly over the loudspeaker, Tom Corbett and Roger Manning wait anxiously with the other cadets. Breathing a prayer, their names will be among those who pass, for failure means dismissal from Space Academy.
Congratulations, Tom. You made it. Thanks, Roger. I'd rather take acceleration from maximum rocket drive than sweat out that lift.
Same here. Only one thing I'm worried about.
What's that?
That last power drive problem. I don't think I answered it the right way.
Hey, hold it, Roger. It's getting to the end.
Larkin, Maggio, Malov, Mayfield, McQuarrie, Muller.
Hey, Roger, she didn't call your name.
That's it, Space Boy. I failed.
Oh, no, there must be some mistake, Roger.
No mistake. You know as well as I do. You're either on that list or you're not. I'm getting out of this uniform before I'm arrested for impersonating a space cadet.
And permission is hereby granted to Jonas Brady and Andrew Peters for exploration of secondary satellites of Jupiter's moons. Object of exploration, uranium pitchblende deposits. Permit for the above, LC 98452, dated 1 April 2352. Signed, Stephen Strong, Captain, Solar Guard. All right, I think that'll cover you, Brady. I'll put the Solar Guard seal on it now.
Say, I don't suppose you could tell Peters and me where we could find a good astrogator.
I'm afraid not, Brady. Shouldn't be too hard to get one, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, Captain Strong. I didn't know you were busy.
Oh, that's all right, Corbett. Come in. We finished our business. What is it?
Well, it's Roger, sir.
Again? Well, what happened this time?
He failed to pass midterm exams, sir.
Failed? Well, that's impossible. He can astrogate as well as I can.
Roger thinks it was the power deck problem he missed, and I was wondering if you could do something.
You know Academy rules as well as I do, Corbett. If Manning's failed, he'll be dismissed from the Academy. Nothing can be done about it.
Excuse me, Captain.
Oh, yes, Brady.
I just wanted to thank you again for your help. We'd like to blast off as soon as we can.
Oh, of course. Here's your permit. And spaceman's luck.
Thanks. We'll need it. Come on, Peters.
Right, Jonas. So long, Captain.
Goodbye. Now, Corbett, let's get to the whole story. Is Manning positive details is...
Well, looks like we're set, Jonas.
Yeah. And did you hear about the kid getting kicked out of the academy?
I'm way ahead of you, Jonas. The best astrographer in the joint. He said kicked out. And we need an astrogator.
Strong said the kid's name was Manning.
What are we waiting for? Let's find a kid named Manning.
Captain Strong here.
Captain, this is Tom Corbett.
Oh, I was just going to call you, Tom. I checked the results of the midterm exams, and there was good reason for Manning not being on the regular list. He didn't wait for the honor list to be announced.
Honor list?
That's right. I don't know how he did it, but he posted the third highest average in the academy.
Oh, great. That's just fine.
Well, you don't sound very happy about it.
I'm not, sir. Roger's gone.
What?
I just got back to the dormitory. Found his lockers empty, all his clothes gone.
Why, that hot-headed young idiot.
I called the main gate, and he was checked out 15 minutes ago. He took a jet cab to the city.
Well, you better jet right after him, Tom. Find him and bring him back, or he'll be in trouble.
But, sir, it really isn't his fault. He didn't know.
He shouldn't have gone off half-cocked like that. Now, if he isn't here by bed check tonight, he'll be court-martialed for being absent without leave. And then he really will be an ex-cadet.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Fellas and girls, listen to this exciting announcement. Starting now, right now, you'll find exciting cutouts on the back of each and every regular package of Kellogg's Pep. And what are these cutouts? Well, they're real, true-to-life photograph cutouts of all your favorite Space Cadets. Here's your chance to get a complete collection of Space Cadet pictures. There's a cutout of Dr. Dale, one of Tom Corbett, Astro, and Roger Manning, too. Here's Tom Corbett to tell you all about it.
That's the truth, Spaceman. Right now at your grocery store, there's a package of Kellogg's Pep just waiting for you. And on the back, you'll find a photograph cutout of one of your favorite Space Cadets. Cut them out and pin them on your wall. Or you can paste them on your school book. And if you haven't got a full set, you can trade your extras for the ones you haven't got. It's a swell collection. So start getting your photograph cutouts of the Space Cadets right now.
That's right, Spaceman. And remember, there's another exciting Space Cadet photograph cutout on the back of each and every regular-sized Kellogg's Pep package. So don't delay. Ask your mom to get the Build-Up Wheat Cereal. Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Believing he has failed the rigid midterm examinations, Cadet Roger Manning has left Space Academy and taken a job as astrogator with Jonas Brady and Andrew Peters, two space prospectors searching for vital uranium pitch blends. But back at Space Academy, Cadet Tom Corbett has decided to ask for an emergency leave to go in search of his friend Roger Manning.
All right, Corbett, I'll give you the leave, but I don't think it'll do any good to look for Manning. By now, he could be any place. Mars, Venus, right here on Earth.
I'll find him, Captain Strong. I'm sure Roger would do the same for me.
Yes, I guess he would. All right. Here you are, 5-day emergency pass.
Attention, emergency alert. By order of Commander Arkwright, all leaves are canceled and all cadet units and instructors are to report to the main assembly hall on the double.
All right, cadets, stand to. Commander Arkwright has placed me in command of this emergency, and I want your undivided attention. All of you are acquainted with the vital work of the Solar Alliance in mining uranium pitchblende on Pluto. Without N72C, the mining operations on Pluto would stop, and our supply of raw uranium pitchblende would be cut to a dangerously low level. We've just received a report from our refineries on Mars that every ounce of N720, a new chemical explosive, has been stolen, and it will take 2 years to replace it. Who stole it and how it was stolen is the work of the security division. Our job is to get it all back before it is broken down into small lots and sold on the black market. Now, Commander Arkwright has ordered every available ship into space. Each of you will be given a sector to patrol. Your orders are simple. Stop every ship in your sector and search it. Your objective? 217 boxes of N72C. Any questions? Very well, then blast off according to emergency plan. And spaceman's luck. Oh, Corbett.
Yes, Captain Strong.
You'll come with me aboard the rocket destroyer Galileo. We'll patrol sectors 6, 7, and 8 in the orbit of Jupiter.
Right, sir. But is the situation really that bad?
Corbett, if we don't find that explosive, our production of uranium will be so low, half of all the spaceships now in flight will have to be grounded.
Destroyer Squadron 9 will patrol Earth-Lunar space lanes, and Cruiser Group J will search the asteroid belt. Further assignments to follow. All ships are to be intercepted and searched for the missing N72C. Maintain standby watch of this frequency for orders from Central Spaceport Control. In transmission.
Boy, those poor jokers are really fusing their tubes about that stuff. Sure must be valuable. Well, none of my concern anymore.
You, Jonas? Jonas, ain't you?
No, it's Manning.
Huh? What are you doing here, kid?
Looking for you. Brady wants you.
All right, so you found me. Now beat it.
After I take a look at what's in that box.
No, stay away from there.
Why? I'm a partner, aren't I? I've got a right to see the supplies we're carrying. Say, wait a minute. Supplies, huh? This is N72C.
So what? We're prospectors, ain't we? We need explosives.
200 cases, pal? Cases that were stolen?
What do you mean, stolen?
Don't pull that innocent act on me. I just picked up a solar guard alert. They're looking for this stuff right now.
But they'll never find it, kid.
Brady.
I figured you were the type to get nosy, so I just put the ship on automatic pilot and came down to make sure Peters kept you out of here.
I couldn't keep him out, Jonas. You boys
Shut up, Peters. You couldn't stop a space rat.
Huh?
I ought to beat your head off for letting him see this.
No, there's no way to talk to a
Shut
partner.
up, I said. All right, kid, so we got a full cargo of N720. What about it?
I'm resigning from this partnership right now.
I got news for you, space boy. You're not back in Space Academy playing one of your little games now. The only way to resign from this outfit is to take a walk out in space without a spacesuit.
We're closing in on the outer moons of Jupiter now, sir. You can see them on the radar scanner.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hate to think what a time we'll have if they reach those planetoids without us knowing it.
Hey, look, sir. A spaceship heading right into the thickest part of Jupiter's space junk.
Yes. And from the looks of her on the radar scanner, she's an old Venusian colonizer. All right, Tom. Stand by to intercept. Maybe this time we'll be lucky. Well, Hotshot, that destroyer's closing in.
Space Raider from Rocket Cruiser Galileo. This is Captain Strong of the Solar Guard.
Captain Strong.
Keep to and stand by for boarding party.
Well, Brady, what are you going to do now?
Peters, keep him covered.
What are you going to do?
Never mind. Keep him covered, I said.
All right, Jonas. All right.
Hello, Rocket Destroyer Galileo from Space Raider Jenny Alton. This is Jonas Brady speaking. Go ahead.
Keep to, Brady. We're coming aboard.
Coming aboard? Why? Anything wrong?
We just want to check your cargo. If everything's all right, you'll be cleared to go on.
I see. Well, I tell you, Captain, our main airlock mechanism...
He's lying, Captain Strong. There's nothing wrong with the airlock.
Hey, what was that, Brady?
Why, that was just my astrogator telling me something. By the way, I think you know him, Captain. He used to be a cadet, fellow by the name of Manning.
Manning? What in blazes is he doing on your ship?
Oh, he signed on just before we blasted off. He likes the idea of prospecting with us. Figures in making a pile of money.
He does he? Well, let me talk to him.
Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Manning, come here.
Jonas, are you space happy?
Shut up. I know what I'm doing. Why, I'm sorry, Captain. He says he don't want to talk to you.
Well, listen, Brady. I want to search your ship. If we can't couple our airlocks together, we'll just have to board you in space.
No, don't do that, Captain. I tell you what, we ain't far from Jupiter. Now, suppose I touch down and you trail me in. Make it a lot easier. You can board me on the ground through the emergency power deck hatch.
All right. Get going, then. Change course.
Right away, Captain. You just follow me down and I'll wait for you. And transmission. That was easier than I thought.
Jonas, you must have been drinking rocket juice. You're taking us right into a trap.
I don't know why I got hooked up with a whining fool like you, Peters. I got Strong doing exactly what I want.
Oh, you have, huh? Well, as soon as he comes aboard, he'll find all them boxes of N72C, and that's what he wants.
Of course not. Now, you get to work right now and start loading the jet boat.
The jet boat? But...
No questions, Peters. Move.
Wait a minute. What about this kid? You talk.
Oh, no, you won't. After you're through loading the explosives, break out 2 spacesuits. Just 2. When Captain Strong comes aboard the Jenny Alton, he's going to find 1 empty spaceship and 1 dead body.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
This is Venus Space Station. Calling Space Academy Commissary. Request increased ration. Kellogg's Pep. Request increased ration. Kellogg's Pep. This is Solar Guard Station Titan. Calling Space Academy Commissary. Include double ration Kellogg's Pep in next shipment. Demand for Kellogg's Pep increasing every month.
Well, that's the story down at the Space Academy commissary. The calls are coming in from every space station in the solar system. More Kellogg's Pep. More Kellogg's Pep. Well, you spacemen know why, too. Every time you help yourself to that swell whole wheat and malt flavor, well, you can tell right off why Kellogg's Pep is making such a big hit with spacemen. And say, Kellogg's Pep helps the solar guardsman keep in trim by supplying him with vitamin D, vitamin B1, and many other essential food values to help him stay on the job. So give yourself the same energy blast off every morning with Kellogg's Pep. And remember, to get your pep, well, you don't have to call the Space Academy commissary. The corner grocery store is your commissary for the Spaceman cereal Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Tricking Captain Strong into landing on Jupiter, Jonas Brady has begun a desperate plan to save his stolen cargo of valuable explosive and get rid of Roger Manning. Now on the deserted wastes of Jupiter, where the gravity is 2.5 times that of Earth, Tom Corbett and Captain Strong leave the rocket prospector Galileo and in spacesuits and helmets struggle toward the Jenny Alden, partially hidden by a huge rock formation. A walk that will bring them face to face with death.
I'll never get used to Jupiter, Captain Strong. I don't know which is worse, the double gravity or all the quakes.
I know, Tom. This double gravity makes it feel like you're carrying 400 pounds on your back. Be careful and don't fall. You'll never pick yourself up.
Why did Brady land in that valley? He must have known we couldn't come in alongside.
This whole setup is pretty fishy. I can't understand why Roger didn't want to talk to us. If he ever talked his way out of anything, it had better be now.
All set, Jonas. The N-72C is loaded in the jet boat, and I've got the 2 spacesuits.
Okay, Peters. I just saw Strong leave the destroyer with another guy and head this way.
I'm getting nervous, Jonas. What if they catch us?
You know something, Peters? I think you're a yeller. Our little space cadet has got more guts than you.
You got no right to talk to me that way. Hey, Jonas, it's an earthquake. Hang on.
Just what I was hoping for.
What?
I spent 2 years prospecting this crummy planet right around here. Every 5 or 6 hours there's a quake. That ought to hold Captain Strong for a while. Now, get Manning out here in the jet boat lock. We're ready to move.
Wait a minute, Jonas. I've been thinking. Stealing is one thing. If you're caught, you get time on the prison asteroid. But killing, that's something else again.
Hey, wait a minute. What is this?
I don't like it. I don't want no part of it.
Why, you crummy little space rat.
Well, let's just blast off in the jet boat and leave the kid here. Won't do us no real good to kill him.
I'm giving the orders around here, and I say get the kid.
But, Jonas...
Get him right now.
All right. All right, Jonas. You win.
You bet I win, you little space crawler. Try to chicken out on me, will you?
All right, Manny. Come on out.
You guys sure picked yourself a nice graveyard to land in.
You're using the right word, kid. Move.
Well, Brady, where do you expect to go from here?
A long way, kid. Peters, you have his power all right?
Yeah, sure.
Hand it over.
Okay.
What do you think you're going to do now?
Kind of impatient, ain't you?
Come on, Jonas. Let's get this over with.
Sure, Peters, if you're glad to. All right, Manning, stand over there next to them spacesuits.
Hey, now, listen, wait a minute.
Watch, kids. Watch.
Captain Strong, the quake's getting worse. We've got to get to the Jenny Alden.
Just another 100 yards, Corbett. We can make it.
Take a look. A jet boat. It just blasted out of the freighter.
Blast them. They pulled a fast one on us. Hurry, Corbett. And pray they've left Roger alive.
Captain Strong to Rocket Destroyer Squadron B, cover sectors 7, 8, and 9, Jupiter orbit. Intercept jet boat believed to be carrying stolen explosives. That is all.
Captain Strong! Captain, come here, quick!
Yes, Corbett, where are you?
Down here, sir, in the jet boat airlock.
What is it?
There, sir. Look.
By the rings of Saturn. Peters.
Yes, sir. Blasted by a parallel ray and left in the open airlock. He didn't have a chance. And look here, sir. These small chips that look like putty.
Well, that's M72C. That nails it. They did steal the explosive and escaped with it in the jet boat.
But where's Roger, sir?
That's what I'd like to know. I'd be interested in finding out how he's tied up with this operation.
But, sir, you don't think...
Wait a minute. Look at this.
A parallel ray. And it's Academy issue.
Not only that. Look at the name on the grip.
Roger.
There's been one shot fired. Probably the one that got Peters.
Well, then that explains it. Roger was trying to fight them.
He was? Well, then why isn't he here now? No, Tom, it looks to me like poor Peters was the victim of a double cross.
What?
And with the way Roger felt about the Academy, and the fact that he isn't here now, and the fact that he sailed on a ship with stolen cargo...
Oh, he wouldn't. He couldn't do a thing like that.
I'm just pointing out. When we find Roger, I certainly hope he can prove I'm wrong.
He must be able to prove it, sir. And if I have to go clear out to the next galaxy, I'll find him and make him prove it. So help me, I will.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, when Tom and Captain Strong become space rats to follow a trail that leads them from the moons of Jupiter to the underworld of Venus in Part 2 of Double Cross in Space. Tune in, same time, same station on Thursday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the Build-Up Wheat Cereal. Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for a daily and in weekend editions. Featured in today's cast are Jan Merlin, Edward Bryce, Paul Ford, and Ian Martin. Today's program was written by Richard Jessup, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
You are standing on a bridge over Owl Creek, a noose around your neck. You have but a few seconds left to live, a few seconds left to plan your escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to the war between the states and a muddy stream in Alabama as we recall one of the great short stories in American literature, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce.
A man stood upon a railroad bridge in northern Alabama, looking down through the ties at the swift water 20 feet below. The man's hands were behind his back, the wrist bound with a cord. A rope closely encircled his neck. It was attached to a stout cross timber above his head, and the slack fell to the level of his knees. He watched a piece of dancing driftwood racing down the current beneath his feet. He thought,
if I could just free my hands, I might throw off this noose and dive into the creek. If I swam underwater, I'd be safe from their bullets. If my wind held out, I could make the southern bank, take to the woods, and get away home.
Peyton Farquhar, Alabama planter, stood at the end of a plank. A captain of the Union Army and a sergeant stood at the other end. When they stepped aside, the plank would tip upward, and Peyton Farquhar, Confederate spy, would slip between the ties to hang above the muddy water of Owl Creek until dead. Even in this far outpost of Sherman's march to the sea, the formalities of death are observed by these men who are most familiar with him. The captain's company is drawn stiffly at attention along the tracks on the northern side of the bridge. The lieutenant stands erect on the bank of the stream, the point of his bared saber scraping the gravel on the roadbed. Peyton Farquhar is being ushered into the Confederate beyond with every Union amenity. The captain stands aside. Now only the weight of the bulky sergeant counterbalances Peyton Farquhar at the end of his thin board.
They say that this is the moment when all the past events of your life tumble into your memory. But how could anyone know? Who has come back from the dead to tell what dying is like? I don't recall any childhood memories now. The past does not engulf me in this naked moment. I'm only aware of what's here, now. Those Yankees lined up on the bank. His captain's tired eyes. That turkey buzzard circling up there, waiting for me. And that noise. That beating, driving sound like a distant engine. A pump. The roll of thunder on a summer evening. Coming closer. Getting louder. Choking.
It's your heart, of course, that you hear, stepping up its cadence, pounding under the forced draft of fear. Now you see nothing, remember nothing, sense nothing, but the strangling, suffocating beat of your own heart, throbbing its final protest. You stand there, erect.
The work is nearly at an end now. The captain draws his sword, flourishes it to a carry, sings out a command.
Company! Parade!
The men on the bank smartly spread their legs, thrust hands forward over the rifle barrels. The sergeant on the end of the plank takes one step to the left. The plank tips forward. And Peyton Farquhar drops between the timbers of Owl Creek Bridge.
It takes longer to tell it. As you drop downward, you lose consciousness. You are as one already dead. Then you awaken sharply in pain to feel, not to think, just to feel. The cutting pressure on your throat, the agonies of pulsating fire shooting from your neck downward. To feel the fullness, the congestion, the head bursting with suffocation. Distantly, beyond, outside of yourself, you hear a splash. Remotely you sense cool, wet, green darkness. The rope has broken. You have fallen into the stream. Now thinking returns slowly. You know for the moment you are safe from drowning, because the rope around your neck tightly keeps the water from your lungs.
Then I shall die hanging at the bottom of a river. And that's absurd. If I can get my hands free. I must get my hands free. Come, Peyton. They can't lick you. Try again. Once more. Good boy, the rope's given. Again. Try once more. That does it, my boy. Now, the rope around your neck. You must breathe when you come to the surface. You must breathe quickly. For if they haven't hanged you and they fail to drown you, you can't let them shoot you. Loosen that rope around your neck. You must get it loose. Now.
It takes so much longer to tell. You are now in the fullest possession of your senses, and again time stops. You feel the ripples of the water upon your face, and hear their separate sounds as they strike. You see the trees on the bank, and the leaves, and the veining of each leaf, and the very insects on them. The locusts, the brilliant-bodied flies, the gray spiders stretching their webs from twig to twig, the prismatic colors of the dewdrops upon a million blades of grass. You hear the humming of the gnats, the beating of the dragonfly's wings, the strokes of the water spider's legs. A fish slides beneath your eyes, and you hear the rush of its body parting the water. All this you see and hear in an incalculably infinite instant of time. Then you hear something else. You dive deeply, but above the ringing in your ears, you hear the volley of the rifles. And as you rise toward the surface, you meet shining bits of metal, singularly flattened, the distorted and spent bullets, oscillating slowly downward past you. One catches in your collar, and it feels uncomfortably warm. You snatch it out. And this gray piece of Yankee lead reminds you of the gray uniform of the soldier who was responsible for you being here. You recall that it was only night before last when the soldier had ridden up the driveway as you and your wife sat under the magnolia trees in the cool twilight.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Corporal.
Wonder if I might trouble you for a glass of water, sir.
Why, of course,
Don't disturb yourself, Peyton. I'll go fetch it.
You're most kind, ma'am. If you'll just indicate the well...
Nonsense. You just sit a spell with my husband. You look as if you could do with some rest.
Yes, ma'am. Reckon I could.
I'll be back in a jiffy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Whose command are you with, Corporal?
Colonel Tolliver, sir. 13th, North Carolina.
We get so little news down here. How are things going at the front?
Not good, sir. The Yankees are getting ready for another advance. They're repairing the railroad. Got it in shape almost to Owl Creek Bridge. And they got an outpost there. Once they can run the trains beyond the bridge, there's nothing to stop them between here and Atlanta.
Then why hasn't the bridge been destroyed?
The military couldn't get near it. A civilian might.
Owl Creek Bridge. That's not far from here, is it?
Less than 20 miles.
You say they have an outpost there. On which side?
The other side. Nothing on this side but a couple of pickets, half-mile out on the railroad. And a single sentinel at this end of the bridge.
And that bridge is important?
Sure is.
What if it were destroyed?
Hold up the Yankees for several weeks.
Suppose a man, a civilian like myself, should elude the picket post and get the better of the sentinel. What could he accomplish?
Well, I was there a week ago, just before we had to pull out. There's a heap of driftwood come down in last winter's flood and caught on the trestle at this end. Looked mighty dry and tendery to me.
I see.
A fellow with enough gumption might get through and set fire to it. It ought to burn like tow.
Yes, it should.
Of course, a fellow'd have to have plenty of gumption. The Union commanders promised to hang any civilian caught fooling around the railroad.
Here's your water, Corporal. Right out of the spring house.
Thank you kindly, ma'am. My, that's cool and nice.
And here's a smidgen of cornbread. I thought you might be hungry.
I'm mighty grateful, ma'am. It's ladies like you that keeps the South together and fighting these days.
My, what a nice compliment.
It certainly is.
Well, reckon I better hit the leather. I got a lot of riding ahead of me tonight.
Good luck to you, Corporal, and thank you for the information.
You'd be taking a chance, sir. But you couldn't do a greater service for your country.
I'll remember that, Corporal.
Goodbye, ma'am.
Goodbye, Corporal.
Goodbye, sir. Many thanks.
Goodbye.
Peyton, what was he talking about?
What, my dear?
The corporal. What did he mean by service to your country and taking a chance?
Oh, nothing.
Peyton, tell me.
It was nothing, really, my dear.
Peyton Farquhar, if you're fixing to take any chances for our country, I want to know about it. Now, you just speak your piece.
There's nothing to say except I'd be going away for a day or two on a little trip.
Is it dangerous, Peyton?
Not very.
You'll be back.
Yes, my dear. I promise you, I'll be back.
You break the surface of Owl Creek for a second time, and now you're much further downstream, further away from the Union soldiers on the bridge reloading their guns, the ramrods flashing in the morning sun.
That captain won't make the same mistake again. He'll order them to fire at will. Heaven help me, I cannot dodge him.
Another more terrible sound, cannon. They've trained a cannon on you.
And close. Next time they'll use a charge of grape. Rifles and grape covering the water from bank to bank. I'm done for then.
Then something seemed to grab you, and you're whirled round and round, spinning like a waterlogged top. You're caught in a vortex, a whirlpool. The water, the banks, the distant bridge, the soldiers become indistinct blurs. And again you're helpless. You feel dizzy and sick to your stomach, just as you felt last night when you crept up the bank toward the lone sentinel on the south end of the bridge and discovered that the sentinel was not alone.
There he is, boys. Grab him.
Get him, Sergeant.
Well, Mr. Peyton Farquhar, we've been expecting you.
How did you know my name
We got
was...
ways.
But look here, I'm a civilian.
Save your breath and thank your maker we didn't shoot you in the back. Well, we don't do things that way up north. You'll get a trial. Everything fair and square. Bring him along, men.
The whirlpool spins faster and faster. A sharp piece of driftwood tears at your coat. The churning brown water chokes you. You know there is nothing you can do. As you had known it last night, when they shoved you into a tent near the bridge to face the infantry captain with the tired eyes.
There he is, sir. Right on schedule.
Good work, Sergeant. Is this the man, Lieutenant?
That's him.
What? You're the corporal who stopped at my plantation last night.
That's right, Mr. Farquhar. But I'm not with the 13th North Carolina Volunteers.
Mr. Farquhar, this is Lieutenant Saltonstall, Intelligence Officer, 5th Massachusetts Regulars.
You've trapped me. You deliberately led me into a trap. I'm a civilian in a plant.
Yes, and also a Southern patriot, caught in the act of espionage.
You can't prove it.
We don't have to.
This is the most despicable, the most... This proves once more that honor is a stranger in the North.
I'm too tired to listen to a recital of the code of a Southern gentleman, Mr. Farquhar. I'm afraid the distinction between your ethics and my lack of them would escape me this evening.
But why have you done this? Why have you deliberately trapped me?
The best way to eliminate civilian resistance is to lure it into the open. You fell for the bait. Too bad.
Now, look here. It's my constitutional right
Which Constitution? The Constitution of the United States or Jeff Davis's?
You insulting Yankee.
Remember your manners, sir.
I demand a trial.
You've just had it. Post a guard over him, Sergeant.
Yes.
We'll hang him in the morning.
Something tears at your face, scratching, and you realize that the whirling has stopped. You open your eyes. You're lying on the southern bank of the stream, out of sight of your enemies. Safe. The gravel which has scratched your cheek now seems soft as new-picked cotton. The forest around you is a garden of luscious beauty, reeking with a heavy perfume of freedom. Even the whiz and rattle of the final charge of grapes screaming through the treetops seems a benediction from the baffled cannoneer. You leap to your feet and run into the woods, south, towards home. Your neck is swollen and throbbing with pain. You carry it cocked toward your left shoulder as you push through the matted brush. All morning you tear your way through the undergrowth. Your jacket is tattered and your face crisscrossed with bloody scratches from the brambles. Every few moments you stop. You stop to listen for the sound of dogs, but all you hear is the sleepy buzz of the forest. And the blood throbbing through your heated brain brings another thought, which is an insult. No dogs. You are not even important enough to the Yankees for dogs. It's nearly noon now, and for half an hour you've been plunging through a swamp, waist-deep in green ooze. Your neck hurts constantly. Your head throbs and your tongue is thick. It tastes like brown cotton. Gnats swarm before your eyes, catching in your eyelids. Mosquitoes buzz in your ears, drill deep in your hands and swollen neck. You cannot go any longer. You slow down. You stop. You reach toward a palmetto root for support, and it slithers from your grasp and slides softly into the water. Water moccasin. Fear finds you at last. Terror, which stood aloof when you fled the executioner's bullets, now embraces you with clammy unction. A water moccasin. The deadly cottonmouth. Now each branch and root seems to writhe under your glance. The swamp is undulating with certain death. You plunge on through the dark, stinking ooze, on and on, tripping, stumbling, never stopping, for terror rides your back, flogging you with a whiplash of fear.
Master Peyton fills a fiddle and jig time. You just drink this here yacht tea, Master Peyton.
Thank you. Thank you. Jethro.
Yes, sir, Master Peyton.
What are you doing here?
I live here.
You live... Where am I? What happened?
I was paddling my dugout home through the swamp with a mess of catfish. I sees you lying out there on the bank in front of my cabin.
Jethro, I heard... I thought you were dead.
Of course you thought Jethro was dead. You knew he had consumption when you sold him. You knew he couldn't last long, and he wasn't earning his keep. His wife and his daughter had carried on some at first, but after a while they calmed down. And last you'd heard, Jethro was dead.
You thought I was dead, Master Peyton? Why, sir, don't you know what's happened to me? I'm free. I'm free at last.
So, news travels fast. Even in the middle of this backwoods swamp, this lonely black has heard of Abe Lincoln's traitorous Emancipation Proclamation. And they believe it with the faith of children.
Yes, sir, I'm free. I expect pretty soon my woman, my little gal, come along and join me.
Yes, of course they will, Jethro.
How is they, Master Peyton? Is they well?
Yes, indeed, they're both fine. Your daughter's growing into a young beauty. Miss Farquhar's brought her into the kitchen, beginning to train her for the house.
Well, what do you think of that? And my woman, she still sings pretty?
Yes, Jethro. Sundays at meeting time, we can hear all the way up to the big house.
That woman's voice is prettier than all the angels.
Jethro, I don't know how to say this, but I really was sorry about having to sell you. But there wasn't anything else.
I understand, Master Peyton. Don't pay it no mind. I done forgive you long ago.
You have?
Sure. Don't the Lord tell us to forgive those who trespass against us? Don't the Lord promise us we shall be free? Don't you worry none about it, Master Peyton. Here now, quiet that spot. Quiet, Trigger, quiet you. Must have heard a razorback in the brush. No, sirree. Look, Master Peyton. There's a horse coming down the road.
A horse?
Look there. Soldier. One of our soldiers, Corporal, look like.
Jethro, you got to hide me.
Why's I got to hide you, Master Peyton?
Don't ask so many questions, you insolent...
Master Peyton, you forget, I'm free now.
Well, then, as an old friend of mine, please don't ask any questions. Just hide me. Don't tell that soldier anything.
Well, sure. I reckon I can do that for an old friend, Master Peyton. Here. You get down under this here bed. That's it. Put the covers over the side. There you are. Snug as a tick in a rabbit's ear.
Remember, don't tell him anything.
Have you come this far just to be turned in by a wool-gathering black who talks crazy? If Jethro knew this gray-clad corporal was really a Union lieutenant, he'd guarantee his freedom by turning you in. Even so, he bears you a big enough grudge to turn you in anyway. Unless, of course, he's planning to dispose of you himself. Yes, that's it. That's why he talks so silly about the Lord and forgiveness. He's going to do you in himself.
Well, if you run into him, don't tell him I was looking for him.
Yes, sir. I'll remember not telling.
Just keep minding your own business, Uncle. You live longer. Get up there.
Yes, sir. I sure will. You can come out now, Master Peyton. I declare, I don't understand none of this. You says not tell him you're here. He says not tell you he's been here. What's this all about, Miss Peyton?
Oh, it's nothing, Jethro. Nothing. I owe the man some money. I'm not ready to pay it yet.
Oh, I see. I wouldn't know about that. Money's something never bothered me like it bothers some. Money and me's always been strangers.
What's he mean by that? Money's never bothered me like it's bothered some. What's he picking up that knife for?
Jethro, what are you going to do with that knife?
Hmm? Oh, I was just fixing to slit up some of them catfish you got in the dugout. Look like you could do with a little food, Miss Peyton.
Oh, no, thank you, Jethro. I really got to be on my way. I want to get home by sundown if I can.
Sure wouldn't be no bother to cut up a couple cats.
No, thank you, old friend. If you'll just tell me which way I should go to get home.
Huh? Well, I don't rightly know, Miss Peyton. I reckon from the way the sun's reclining, be down the road that way. Quite a tolerable piece.
Yeah, that should be about right.
I never been back, you know. I never tried to go back since I've been free.
Yes, I know.
But I reckon it won't be long till my woman, my little gal, comes here to me.
Of course.
If you get back, Master Peyton, if and you see him, you tell him I'm here waiting for him, you hear?
Yeah, I'll do that, Jethro. I'll do that.
You get away from there fast, the shells of the road crunching under your muddy boots. That grinning savage standing in the doorway of the shack, the knife in his hands. And each moment until the road bends and cuts off the cabin from view, you fear he'll come after you, the knife poised to plunge in your back, to pay you for the thrust you gave him when you sent him away to die. But he's still standing, grinning foolishly and waving as you turn the bend. Now you feel safe, but only for a moment. Then you hear a sound. The sound of a horse. It must be the corporal in gray from the 5th Massachusetts Regulars. He's coming back down the road, searching for you, hounding you, coming to take you back to Owl Creek Bridge, back to a rope that won't break under your weight. You walk faster and faster, and always the sound is there, growing louder and louder. And you run as fast as you can down the shell road, which stretches clear to the horizon between the green walls of scrubby pines. How long have you been running down this endless road? It's dark now. Is it night? Or has the blood trapped in your head by the suffocating rope at last burst into your congested eyeballs and blinded you? Will it next pour from your swollen and bruised neck into your brain, stopping all sensation, instantly bringing to a welcome end this day of agony and flight? Ridiculous fantasies of fatigue and fear. You can see the darkness is the black of a sudden summer storm. That lightning flash clearly shows the white road ahead and the black silhouettes of trees along the sides. And since you're sure that you can see, the other senses return. You hear the rumble of the thunder. You feel the insupportable ache of your straining lungs, the leaden weight of your tired feet. And now the patter of rain, first washing the stinging sweat from your scratched and bitten face, now pounding harder, flowing down across your hatless head, matting your hair, slowing your headlong gait to a dog trot. Another flash of lightning directly overhead. For an instant, you see the soldiers of Owl Creek Bridge standing at the side of the road, rifles leveled, their eyes boring down the sights, aiming at your heart. Again, you're running, and the rain has turned to hail. Pellets as big as hominy beat down on you, pound your swollen, bruised neck, hammer at your countless cuts. Again, the lightning. And on the other side of the road, the gray-clad corporal sits astride his horse waiting for you.
No, you can't get me now. No.
This bolt of lightning strikes a tree ahead of you, and in the white blinding light stands Jethro, black and grinning, knife raised in the air.
No, Jethro. Forgive me. Forgive me.
He's gone. And now you see dangling from each tree along the road a noose swinging in the wind. Wherever you turn, wherever you look, a noose waiting for you. A noose which wriggles like a water moccasin. You are standing on the green lawn of your plantation before the high-columned entrance. The storm is over. The clouds are black and menacing all around the horizon. But through a break in the sky overhead, glorious sunlight streams down, bathing your garden and your house in heavenly light. You are home. And now you hear a rustle of crinoline, and down from the wide portico steps your beloved wife. She walks across the wide lawn, arms outstretched.
Peyton, my dear, you're back. Just as you promised you'd be.
For this moment, you have endured the agonies of this day. And were those agonies multiplied 1,000 times, they would be small price for the benison of this breast, the sanctuary of these arms, the security of these lips. You step forward to fold your wife in your embrace.
The rope stretched tight, sang like a bowstring. Peyton Farquhar was dead. His body, with a broken neck, swung gently from side to side beneath the timbers of Owl Creek Bridge.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce in a radio adaptation written by Mr. Robeson. The part of Peyton Farquhar was played by Harry Bartell. The narrators were Bill Conrad and Bill Johnstone. Jethro was played by Louis Van Rooten. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fure. Next week,
you are trapped in the pitch darkness of a ruined mansion, and groping for you, stalking you, is a homicidal maniac armed with a knife, from whom you must escape.
Next week, we escape with Joseph Hergesheimer's gripping story, Wild Oranges. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Instant Ralston and regular Ralston, the hot whole wheat cereals in the red and white checkerboard packages, present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy have landed their spaceship in a desolate region of Planet X, as directed by the mysterious native Ortho, who is guiding them from a distance by thought waves.
Commander, there's Baccaratti's ship. I can see it above us through the Astrodome.
Yes, he's coming in to attack.
I sure hope Ortho knows what he's doing, telling us to land here. Hey, what happened to Ortho? His face is gone from the viewscope.
Ortho, can you hear us? That's us now. Fire Space Torpedo 1.
It's jammed, sir.
Fire 2.
They're both jammed. And Baccarat...
He's firing at us.
And here we are like a sitting duck. Ortho double-crossed us.
We'll return in just a moment for today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, The Secret of the Adargo Ruins. Hi, Space Patrollers. This is Dick Tufeld in Los Angeles watching the trial run of a huge rocket clubhouse. The biggest prize ever given away. First prize in the Name the Planet contest. And there it goes. Zooming down the highway, pulled along by an honest-to-goodness motor truck. Say, gang, you know how big that rocket clubhouse is? It's 35 feet long, big as a freight car. You know how much it weighs? A tremendous 10,000 pounds. And you can win a rocket clubhouse, plus a motor truck, plus $1,500 cash just for naming Planet X. Yes, you and your pals can go rolling off to real adventure in a clubhouse with built-in sleeping bunks, electric lights, equipment lockers, even a cooking stove. Gang, just think of living like a real space patroller in your rocket clubhouse on wheels. And talk about fun. Think of those 750 Schwinn varsity bicycles being given away as second prizes. Yes, you've got 750 chances to win a Schwinn, the bike with 3-speed gear shift, 2-wheel handbrakes, and all the other famous Schwinn features. And say, don't forget the 1,000 third prizes. 250 autosonic space rifles, 250 outer space helmets, 250 Space Patrol emergency kits, and 250 wonderful stainless steel Space Patrol wristwatches. So stand by for the latest news about how to enter your name for Planet X in the Name the Planet contest. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Secret of the Adargo Ruins. Commander Corey and Happy are now on the man-made planet Terra, where Buzz is organizing a task force for an assault on Planet X. Although Buzz and Happy wrecked Prince Baccarati's delicate and complex defense control monitor in Baccarati's castle, the Space Patrol forces dare not make an all-out attack on installations on Planet X. For to do so would endanger thousands of innocent natives, forced into labor by the evil prince, and also would harm hundreds of skilled technicians held captive on the remote planet. Right now, in the Commander's Central Office in Space Patrol Headquarters, Cadet Happy is sorting out all available information on Planet X installation.
Sector 322 chemical processing plant. Let's see, what's the buzz here?
How you doing, Happy?
Oh, it's pretty slow work, sir, but I'm nearly through all the data in File E. And that big blow-up map of Planet X sure makes it a lot easier to fit things into a pattern.
You can see now what a big job this is and why we can't launch an attack until every detail is worked out in advance.
Yes, sir. Baccarati's got plants and installations scattered all over Planet X. And what a whopper of a planet that is.
If this work wasn't so urgent, I'd like to turn it over to a couple of aides and blast off to Jupiter.
Jupiter?
Yes, Jupiter Patrol just reported the biggest robbery to hit the outer planets in years. More than 1 million credits.
Wow.
2 men walked into the home office of Jupiter Expansion Corporation, picked up the credits, and walked out. 6 armed guards just stood around while the bandits helped themselves to the payroll.
You mean they didn't even try to stop the bandits?
No, and the strange thing is the guards themselves admitted it, with no alibis.
That is strange.
The payroll was for several hundred construction workers and engineers who had been working on different Jupiter moons for 6 months. And then are due in at Jupiter City tomorrow.
Oh, it's on Major Robertson's circuit, Commander.
I'll get it here. Corey here.
Commander, Jupiter Headquarters Space Patrol, a new lead on the robbery.
Yeah?
Space Patrol agent found a gas cartridge concealed in the room near the vault. That might explain why the guards didn't offer resistance.
What was it?
Diphenazone.
Diphenazone?
Yeah, that's right. We got a description of one of the bandits. 4 of the guards positively identified him as Slag Cronin.
Nice work, Robbie. How soon can you take over up here?
In about 5 minutes.
Good. Corey out. I'm happy you know who was behind that Jupiter robbery.
Who, sir?
Baccarati. Slag Cronin was one of his men.
But what about the guards? Were they working for Baccarati, too?
The guards could be entirely innocent. They were affected by diphenazone.
What's that, sir?
According to a space surgeon who was among the men we brought back from Planet X, diphenazone is a gas developed by Baccarati's pal, Dr. Malengo. It's odorless and renders a person completely unable to reason. Malengo must have developed some sort of counteractive medicine that made Baccarati's men immune to the gas.
No wonder the bandits got away with it so easily.
I'm turning this end of our work over to Robbie. You and I are going after Slag Cronin.
Great. But how do we know where to look?
Baccarati needs that money to rebuild his defense equipment. From Baccarati's viewpoint, the safest place for that money right now is on Planet X. Billions of miles from Terra in Baccarati's castle on Planet X, Dr. Malengo ruefully surveys the smashed controls of the elaborate defense system. He turns as Prince Baccarati enters from his communications room in the lofty tower.
It'll take weeks to repair your Highness, even if we had the technicians on hand to do the work.
We don't have to worry, Malengo.
But, Excellency, without our defenses, the Space Patrol can attack Planet X at will.
I've just heard from Slag Cronin. He's on his way here with 1 million credits.
What good are United Planet's credits here on Planet X?
Don't you see? Cronin can hide out here. Then, as my agents make contact with engineers on the other planets, we can pay them to construct new controls.
Oh, and bring them here in spaceships.
Exactly. They can be made in sections and assembled here in the castle by a few men. The engineers that actually construct the equipment won't even need to know that it will be used against the Space Patrol.
Then Cronin is coming right here to the castle.
No. I ordered him to hide out in the Adargo room, 500 miles to the east.
But, Excellency, why should he hide out?
Because we can be sure that we won't be getting a visit from the Space Patrol ship. I'm not expecting an attack so soon, but Corey may send a scout ship to see what we're up to.
That's true, Your Highness.
As a matter of fact, Corey has already blasted off from Terra.
Planet X?
I don't know. Our agents couldn't find it out. We'll be notified of his vector, however.
How fortunate that Corey didn't have time to wreck our spaceophone equipment.
Yes. And with our spies still operating on the other planet, we'll know if Corey or any of his ships are on their way here.
Your Highness, if you'll pardon my saying so, wouldn't it be better to have Cronin bring the credits to one of your other installations? Why the Adargo ruins?
They are hundreds of miles from any of my factories or installations. And they look like what they are, the ruined buildings of a vanished civilization. No Space Patrol ship is going to lend and prowl around there.
I understand. A brilliant decision, Excellency.
Of course. Now, let's check with our agents. Perhaps they've discovered something new about Corey.
Many hours later, the Terra 5, with Commander Corey at the controls, is far beyond the orbit of Pluto, headed for Planet X. Using secret code and scrambled spaceophone circuits, Cadet Happy has contacted Space Patrol headquarters of the various planets. And now, to prevent Baccarati from picking up any suspicious signal, Happy has cut off the spaceophone transmitter.
Nobody's sighted Slag Cronin so far, sir.
Sooner or later, he's going to contact Baccarati. Baccarati will attempt to contact him. I want to be in a position to intercept those calls.
Sir, I've been thinking about this native ortho that helped us get off Planet X the last time.
What about him?
Well, I just can't get over the way he was able to project thoughts and images.
Well, we do it in a crude sense. With spaceophones, viewscopes, and our brainograms.
Yeah, but he just uses his mind. How come we can't do it?
Perhaps if we tried it for as many generations as his people have, we could do the same thing.
Oh, Commander, maybe we could get Ortho to help us some more.
No, Hap. Our battle is with Baccarati. All those people have isolated themselves because they want to live in peace. Besides, Hap, how would you suggest contacting Ortho?
Yeah, that's right. We don't even know where this Golden Valley is.
Right. Now we'll concentrate on Slag Cronin and Prince Baccarati.
Thousands EUs toward Planet X. A spaceship with a black falcon on its hull prowls the dark void. Intently, Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengro scan the viewscope.
Corey's ship crossed the Pluto orbit hours ago, so he must be coming to Planet X.
I wonder what his plan is this time.
Well, he won't get a chance to put it in operation, Malengo.
You think he's after Slag Cronin?
If he is, it's a stupid move. Cronin is already hiding out at the Adargo ruins. Corey could never find
Your
him.
Highness, look. That thing's out of the viewscope. It must be a spaceship.
Maintain this exact distance, and we'll cut on the radar foil in case he picks us up. He'll never be able to pinpoint our...
Clear in the viewscope, sir. Good. We'll come in low on the dark side of Planet X and find our way by infrared viewscope.
My friends from another planet, listen to me.
What?
You are in grave danger.
Yeah, he's doing it again, like he did the last time. His face is appearing in the viewscope.
Yes, Ortho. You're contacting us all right. What is it?
You are in dire peril.
We expect to be on Planet X.
You are in danger out in space. I sense it. It is coming closer.
Hey, he's right, sir. The rear viewscope. See it?
The radar foil's low. And the Baccarati ship beside of it.
We can't tell what his range is, not with that radar foil confusing our viewscopes.
Thanks for the warning, Ortho. We'll just have to outrun them.
Let me help you. Land on the planet. I will guide you in safely.
You don't understand. If we land, he could blast us easily.
I can protect you, believe me. Your enemy will never find you.
The blur's getting bigger, Commander. Baccarati's gaining.
All right, Ortho. It's like this is your party. What are your instructions?
Come directly to the center of the planet as you see it. You will see a broad river flowing south between two ranges of high mountains.
Then what?
Far to the east of the river is the desert, then bleak hills, barren and desolate. But beyond those hills is the land of the lumens, our golden valley. That is fine, my friend. Hold that altitude.
There's a barren hill, but I don't see any golden valley.
Land your ship just after you cross the hills.
Ortho, we don't see anything that looks like a golden valley. It's just a stretch of barren, rocky land.
Commander, the ship doesn't seem to be gaining on us, judging by the size of the radar coil blur.
Probably waiting to see what we're going to do.
Land your ship. Set it down quickly.
Commander, I can't see anything in the rear viewport.
Chief, we might as well follow Orso's directions. Stand by for landing, Happy. We'll make this quick. Fire nose rockets. Full repeller ray. Stand by to fire space guns, Happy.
Standing by, sir. Hey, what happened to Ortho?
Space is gone from the viewscope. Ortho! Ortho, can you hear us?
Commander, there's Baccarati's ship. I can see it through the astrodome.
Fire space torpedo 1.
It's jammed, sir.
Fire 2.
They're both jammed. And Baccarati's coming in.
He's firing at us.
And here we are like a sitting duck. Ortho double-crossed us.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Space Patrollers, attention. Here's how to enter your name for Planet X in the Name the Planet contest. Just go with Mom or Dad to your Weatherbird shoe store. The Weatherbird shoe man will give you a free prize, a swell interplanetary coin album with 3 real space coins inside, glowing silver-colored coins, big as a $50, with swell designs of planets on them. And also inside the album, your Name the Planet contest entry blank, with directions for submitting your name for Planet X. Now, gang, if there's no Weatherbird shoe store in your neighborhood, find out where else to get your coin album and entry blank by looking on the back of a package of good hot Ralston, either instant or regular. The new package with a picture of the Commander Corey or Cadet Happy on the front. But hurry, see your Weatherbird shoe man or check a hot Ralston package and enter the Name the Planet contest now. And now, back to the secret of the Adargo ruins. Following the instructions of the mysterious native of Planet X, Ortho, the Lumen, Commander Corey and Cadet Happy landed their spaceship on the planet, with Baccarati's ship close behind them. Through his strange power of thought and image transference, Ortho had assured Buzz they would land safely in a golden valley. Instead, their ship is an obvious target on the bleak, rugged ground in the desolate region of Planet X. Evidently abandoned by their would-be protector, Buzz and Happy vainly try to fire space guns at Baccarati as the evil prince rains explosives all around them. In Baccarati's ship, the prince and Dr. Malengro make repeated passes over the Terra 5.
You made me miss them again, Malengo. Can't you keep the ship on a steady run?
Something's wrong with the viewscope target finder.
Well, I'll get them this time. I did it! A direct hit. I got Corey at last.
Your marksmanship is astounding, sire.
You see that? Not a trace of the ship remains. Not a trace. Do you realize what this means?
I prefer to hear the tidings from you, Excellency.
Without Corey, it will take the Space Patrol weeks to prepare an attack. By that time, I'll have my defenses back in operation. Planet X will again be an impregnable stronghold.
Excellent.
From then on, I shall resume my plan. Now, let's go to the Adargo ruins and get Fred Cronin and my million credits.
As Baccarati's ship roars away toward the northeast, a cloud of dust settles over the place where the prince had seen Buzz Corey's ship disappear in a blinding flash. Yet, at this same moment, 2 miles away, Buzz and Happy stand unhurt, peering out of the viewport of an entirely undamaged Terra 5.
Captain Roberts, can you beat that? He fires half a dozen torpedoes and then scoots away.
Must be out of ammunition, Happy.
What a terrible shot he is. Not that I'm complaining, of course.
Did you notice all of his torpedoes hit in the same place about 2 miles away?
All I can say is it's sure a lucky break after the way this Ortho deserted us and him in his golden... Commander, look.
Just noticing, Happy. A minute ago, there was nothing out there but gray rocks and desolation. Now,
trees, grass, and flowers.
Beautiful. A golden valley.
Then why didn't we see it before? I guess we were so concerned about Baccarati that... Hey, look out there. Someone coming toward the ship.
It's Ortho, the same face we saw in the viewscope.
Uh-huh. Beard, robe, and all. It looks like he's waiting for us to come out.
Let's go, Hap. We owe him an apology.
Apology? What for? For bringing us down here so that Baccarati could blast...
Leave your ray gun in the ship. I don't think we'll need weapons here. And it might offend Ortho.
Yes, sir. But if he tries any more tricks...
Let's give him a chance to explain that. Open the hatch.
Yes, sir.
Before we open the outer hatch, Happy, remember that Ortho can tell what they're thinking. He probably knows I'm telling you this right now.
Yes, sir. I understand.
I am Ortho.
Yes, Ortho. We recognize you from your projected image.
First, I feel I owe you an apology. I know you thought that I had deceived you.
That's right, we did for a while.
It was necessary in order to confuse your enemy. My mind had to project an image of your spaceship some distance away, and at the same time conceal the actual ship. To perform this enormous concentration, I had to withdraw my thoughts from contact with your mind.
Oh, so that was it. Baccarati thought he saw our ship clear over there.
Yes. And when the last explosive hit, I merely stopped thinking of the image. It vanished.
This sort of thing is new and strange to us, Ortho, but we're very grateful.
I know your motive is to drive these evil men from our world. Cadet, as you call it.
If our guns hadn't jammed, we'd have taken care of part of the job right then.
I know. I hope you won't be offended, but I am responsible for that.
Huh?
You mean you can jam a weapon just by thinking about it?
In some cases, I can control certain electrochemical processes if the distance is not too great. In this instance, I was able to inhibit the explosion of your spacecraft.
Yeah, but why? Well, why didn't you keep Baccarati's weapons from working?
Well, Happy, after all, Ortho made Baccarati believe he'd finished us. That's quite a favor.
Oh, sure, but I thought Ortho wanted to get rid of Baccarati, too.
My people want only to rid this planet of the evil Baccarati causes. You do not believe in taking life. I do not blame you for trying to use your weapons. You were not convinced that I could save you.
Yes, that's right.
However, I knew you were in no danger, so I prevented you from taking human life needlessly.
I'm in favor of what you did, Ortho. Our aim is to capture Baccarati and his men alive. We have a process treating criminals medically and psychologically to remove their criminal tendencies. Completely painless. In fact, the criminal isn't even aware of the time it takes to effect a cure.
I know that, Commander.
You mean you know everything we're thinking? Everything we know?
Not quite everything. That would take more time. But I do know what is uppermost in your mind.
Then we really don't need to say a word.
No, except that you probably feel more at ease if we exchange ideas through speech, since you're not used to having thoughts placed directly in your mind by others.
It is rather startling. But tell me about this valley. How does it happen we didn't see it until a few minutes ago?
That was the result of the combined concentration of all my people. We know when strangers are approaching. We conjure up a mass image of forbidding terrain. For centuries, this has kept the more primitive, marauding tribes from invading our valley.
Where are the rest of your people?
Deep in the forest of the valley. I would invite you to visit us, but I sense that the commander is concerned about a problem.
Yes, Ortho. You're right.
We came here searching for a man who has stolen something of great value to your civilization. The man is called Slag Tony.
That's right. Then he is on Planet X.
Yes. Several of us sensed his evil presence a few hours ago.
Where is he? In Baccarati's castle?
No. He is hiding in the ruins of an ancient civilization about 800 miles northeast of here. The Adargo ruins.
Adargo ruins?
Yes. Immense buildings of red stone, filled with statues and carvings. You will find them impressive, but grotesque. Be very careful, my friend.
We will, Ortho. And we're very grateful you saved our lives.
But at no risk of my own. You are risking yours to bring peace to our planet. Listen, and I will tell you how to stand.
Hundreds of miles away from the Golden Valley, a man stands between the pillars of an ancient temple, chipped and worn by time. He watches as a spaceship lands beside his own. Two men get out and come toward him up the temple steps.
Now, Conan, where is it?
I've got it, don't worry.
You will address me as Your Highness. Quickly, give me the phone.
Just a minute, Your Highness.
You heard him, Conan. Do as you're told.
Look, I'm talking to the prince. Your Highness, I'm taking my share of the loot and getting off this stupid planet now.
How dare you? Your share of the loot. Haven't I protected you from the space patrol?
I want 100,000 and the use of that spaceship, the one I came here in.
you all the insolence.
Look, Baccarati, I can keep the whole million. Remember, I'm the only one that knows where it is.
All right, Colonel. You can have 100,000. Now, where is the money?
Right inside the temple, under a flagstone.
All right. Take me to it, quickly.
This way. Yeah. Under this one.
Well, lift it up. Help him, Malango.
Yes,
By the way, Coleman, where is your partner?
I don't have a partner, not anymore. He met with an accident.
Oh, and now you don't have to split with him.
That's right. Well, there's the money. 1 million credit.
And now, Dr. Malango, you will notice that I don't have to split with Coleman.
Nicely done, your hand. The gun but dazed him. But I don't think you'll be unconscious long. Perhaps we should pick up the money and get to the ship.
I'll get the money. We'll leave Conan here. You take his spaceship to the castle, and I'll fly my own.
Very well, your highness.
All right, Baccarati. Stay right where you are.
Hurry!
He can't be alive. He can't be.
I'll take that gun, Malango.
You'll have to catch me first.
After I'm happy, I'll take care of Baccarati.
He's behind that idol, Commander.
I see him. He thought that door back there would open. Come back here, Malango.
All right, Commander. Hey, quit pushing that idol. Run, Your Highness.
Come back here, Baccarati.
Commander, the idol is falling.
Commander, you all right? Help me roll a rock off my leg. Yes,
No bones broken.
Oh, my ankle.
You stay here. I'll grab the Baccarati and Malango.
Hey, look, they're nearly to their ship.
Maybe I can stop him with a ray gun blast. It's fired.
Mine doesn't work either, sir.
We're both knocked down through hell. Over the fall wrecked the gun. Or it's ortho again.
Doesn't he know that all these guns would do is to make Baccarati unconscious without hurting him?
He may be cutting off all weapons.
Doggone it, sir. Baccarati and Malango got away.
Yes, it's got what we came for. We captured Slag Cronin and recovered the 1 million credits. Let's get Slag back to our ship now.
Yes, sir. But what if Baccarati blasted before we get to it?
I think our friend Ortho is taking care of that.
I bet Baccarati was hopping mad. He was probably counting on this 1 million credits to rebuild his defenses.
After we return the money to Jupiter, we'll go back to Terra and plan our attack on Planet X.
Look, Commander. Look what's all over the floor. Jewels.
Inside the idol. There's a fortune here. Abandoned by the race that built this temple.
I'll bet there's more than 1 million credits worth. If Baccarati had known about this, he could have saved himself a lot of trouble.
Let's go, Hap. We've got work to do.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Hi, Space Patrollers. This is Commander Coyle. You know, gang, the way I warm up inside when it's chilly outside is with the super cereal that helps to supercharge you. Good hot Ralston. So why don't you try it today? Instant or regular Ralston. Look for them in the new red and white checkerboard packages with a picture of Cadet Happy or me on the outside. Know what you'll find inside? A swell interplanetary space coin. Big as a $50, made of husky plastic with designs of planets on them in glowing space colors. Midnight blue coins, sun gold coins, and jet black coins, too. You can get even more terrific space coins, plus a handsome album to keep them in, along with your Name the Planet contest entry at your Weatherbird shoe store. So hurry, get a package of good hot Ralston today and start building up your space coin collection now.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Mars and Happy are in the refrigeration control compartment of their spaceship on a flight to Venus. The air is rapidly leaking from their ship when they discover a gigantic worm clinging to the wall of the ship.
Take this bar and knock it loose, Hap.
Yes, sir. It won't come loose, and it's as hard as metal.
You're right, Hap. And that's what it eats. It's feeding on the Endurium bulkhead. That's how the air's escaping.
Smoking rockets, Commander. It's eating clear through the hull.
Get into your helmet or it'll suffocate.
Be sure to join us again next week for the thrilling story, The Iron Eaters of Planet X, when Instant Ralston and Regular Ralston again present Space Patrol! Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devereux. Other players were Bela Kovach, Ken Mayer, and Norman Jolly. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Instant Ralston and Regular Ralston again present Space Patrol! Dick Tufeld reporting on America's most heavily armed fighter interceptor, the Northrop Air Force Scorpion F-89D. In a moment, we'll hear from the test pilot on this plane, Bob Love, Korean jet ace with a record of 6 MiGs in 6 weeks. Primary job of the Scorpion is to protect our country from invading aircraft. Speed, more than 600 miles per hour. Weight, 20 tons. Now, Bob Love, recorded at Edwards Air Force Base.
You know, a fellow has to be in top condition to test fly a fast aircraft such as the Scorpion. And that's why I always make it a rule to sleep well and eat well. So, for breakfast, I pick a cereal like Rice Chex or Wheat Chex. They're chock full of energy and really taste good. You'll like it.
No other cereal, puff or flake, contains so much nourishment in such concentrated bite-sized form. So take a tip from Bob Love, Phil Houghton, and other top test pilots. Make your cereals Rice Chex and Wheat Chex. Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.